Come this side, babe. Here. There we go. You got a flag, these, right? I can hold it for him. Yeah. You start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. Everyone, let's hear it for Peyton. Peyton, thank you so much. I'd like to acknowledge our host this evening, PS MS 114, Principal Elizabeth Wellsome. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Community Board 14 with Chair Dolores Orr and District Manager Jonathan Gasca. Also, I'd like to acknowledge District Leader Lou Simon, who's joining us today. Lou Simon. And I'd like to invite up your Borough President, Belinda Katz, to give us some greetings. Borough President Katz.
Good evening. Good evening. So, you know, the mayor and I have this road show, and I am convinced after the 10 or so town hall meetings that he's had in Queens over the last 2 or 3 months, I don't know how many months, I'm convinced he's running for borough president. I have the job, 4 more years. So, let me first thank your councilman for the great work that he does in the neighborhoods. It really is a part. Eric Ulrich, ladies and gentlemen. It really is a partnership effort here in the Rockaways and all over Board 14. It's been a rough few years. It's been a really rough few years. And I am amazed each and every day at the resiliency of this great community board, of the Rock, of all of the mainland, everyone who lived and thrived after Superstorm Sandy. And, you know, it's interesting when you think about it. Back then we said, we don't want to just rebuild, we want to rebuild better. We want to make it better, more resilient. We want to make sure we have better parks and better projects and a better boardwalk. And over the last few years, after 1.5 years of sort of waiting around, you know, we've done a lot of projects out here. And there's a lot more to go. We all know that, right? I mean, there's a lot more to go. And we're going to hear a lot about that tonight. But just to sort of set a stage, we need to remember, too, that we have a brand new boardwalk out in the Rockaways, and it is amazing. We need to acknowledge the fact that after mayor after mayor after mayor told us or promised that we were going to get a ferry, right? We now have a 5-borough ferry from the Rockaways. And it is important to know why it's important that it's 5-borough, because you can't, the future administrations, after Bill de Blasio does his time here and works with us for the next 4 years, does his time, he made it so that it's harder for the next mayor to get rid of one leg of a 5-borough ferry. And I think we need to understand that. And all the projects that we do, you know, the Sunset Cove projects, all of the Shorefront Parkway projects, all of that is done with the work and hard work of the mayor of the city of New York. And Mr. Mayor, I have to tell you, your commissioners are, you know, they hear from us every day. Every day. And between, you know, Betty Bratton on the community board and Dolores Orr and Eric Ulrich and all of us, we keep them hopping. But we want to thank you because, you know, sometimes the answer is yes and sometimes it's no, but they're always responsive. And so we need to thank them for that. And I thank all of you for the work that you do in the borough of Queens. And right now we're going to turn it over. I told the mayor that we're a tough crew out here. Don't prove me wrong. But at the same time, Mr. Mayor, all I can tell you is really thank you for paying attention to us out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Borough President Katz. Also, I'd like to acknowledge some other special guests. Community Board 10 Chair Betty Bratton, who's here joining us. District Leader Frank Galluccio. And District Leader Geraldine Chappie. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'd like to invite up your Assembly Member, Stacy Pfeffer Amato, to bring us some greetings. Assembly Member Pfeffer Amato.
Thanks. Wow, that's the Rockaway that I know. And I shouldn't just say Rockaway because I see all my Howard Beach and my Broad Channel friends are here in my South Ozone Park. So first of all, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're happy you're here. Eric, I want to congratulate you on your hard work. You know, I'm a freshman assemblywoman, but he kept me busy all year, and I want to thank all the commissioners. You know I've been coming at you because this community demands a lot. No, I don't hide that. Right? It's straight shooting from us here. So as Melinda said, and I want to thank Melinda Katz, we expect nothing than you standing up and fighting for the community because that's what helps me fight every day for you. So this is your time. I told them, they gave me a minute, 30 seconds. This is your time to face your mayor and ask him or tell him what you need. So Mr. Mayor, I give you my community and good luck with that, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Assembly Member Pfeffer Amato. Now your council member and tonight's host and moderator, Council Member Eric Ulrich.
Wow. Thank you so much. All right. I bet there's more than a few people who thought they'd never live to see this day, right? You know, it's a unity ticket. You never know. This is not a shy community, Mayor. I know that you know that. I think the mayor deserves points, not only for doing a town hall in this district, but for the administration selecting this school in particular and this community to host a town hall. And I think it says a lot about the mayor and the administration. It says that they're willing to go to communities, even though that those communities may not necessarily agree with the administration on every single issue. This particular poll site was not the best performing school for Bill de Blasio on Election Day. I'm very sorry to report that to you, Mr. Mayor. But nonetheless, the mayor is the mayor of the city of New York, the entire city, all 5 boroughs and all 8.5 million people that live in it and work in it and raise their families here. And the mayor said, no, I want to go to Rockaway and I want to go to Belle Harbor. I think the mayor respects this community because it's a community of service, of cops, firemen, teachers, veterans, people that have dedicated their lives to the betterment of their fellow New Yorkers. And so the mayor is here, and he knows that people have concerns, he knows they have complaints, he knows that there are things that people are not necessarily happy with, but he's here because he is our mayor. Election Day, I always say, is one day on the calendar. On Election Day, we're Democrats and we're Republicans, and I'm in one corner and he's in another. But the day after Election Day, we take off the hats and we say we have to work together for the people. And I think Washington can learn a lesson about that. If we can only get the people in Washington to work together, Democrats and Republicans, for the people. We don't have to agree on every issue all the time. But we can find common ground and realize that certain things are political and certain things are not political. And for the things that are not political, that affect people's livelihoods, that affect their families, that affect their ability to live a good life, a healthy life, well, then we've got to work together on those issues. And the mayor and I have been personal friends for a number of years. We didn't always see eye to eye. I think there was a rumor once that I was going to run against him at some point. I don't know. I don't know where. You can't believe everything you read in the papers, but that
Didn't
is,
you have a reality show about that?
not yet. That's not yet. Not yet. More news to come on that. Don't you worry. But that is the past. And I am only focused on the future. I don't care about the things that me and my office have been able to do in the past 8 years. That's all in the rearview mirror. I care about the future. And I am so honored and grateful for the people for electing me for another 4 years. And I'm looking forward to the future with great optimism. We're going to be working very close with the administration. The clock is ticking on the amount of time that we have left in public office. I want this to be the best 4 years ever, not only for the people of Rockaway, but for all New Yorkers. So, Mayor, thank you and welcome. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio.
I am so glad to hear that that rumor about Eric running against me wasn't true. I don't know. You know, you hear funny things. But Eric, I'm going to talk about you in a moment, but I want to thank you for the warm welcome. And I really want to thank everyone for being here. These town hall meetings, this is the 46th that I've held around the city. And I got to tell you some of the best things I do, because I hear directly from the people, and I understand things that don't always come through if you're just sitting at City Hall. And what I want to ask of everyone tonight is, obviously, I want to hear what's on your mind. I want to hear what you need. If you have a question about how we're handling something, if you have something you think the community needs, I want to hear it. I do want to say to everyone, we want to give as many people a chance as possible to speak. We'll be here till about 10 o'clock. So we're going to try and get in as many people as possible. The one thing I want to ask everyone to respect your neighbor. Please, one topic per person. I know some people could bring up 10 topics if they had the time, but one topic per person so we can get around to as many people as possible. Try and get right to the thing you want to talk about. And I want to just let you know in advance, I don't have the opportunity, because there's so much to cover, to get into a detailed back and forth. I'll do my best to give you a clear answer. My commissioners are here. They'll also be here to follow up tonight and in the days to come. But I hope, when I found the previous 45 town hall meetings, is we cover a lot of ground. We actually figure out some things we can solve on the spot. We figure out other things we have to do going forward. We get a lot done. So I'm really looking forward to that tonight. Now, I want to talk to you about the elected officials. I will certainly talk about Eric in a moment, but Melinda Katz has been very, very, very persistent as borough president. Melinda Katz. Where are you, Melinda Katz? There you are. Melinda Katz does not have a shyness problem. Just wanted to report that. She does have my email. She does have my cell phone. She does not worry about using it. So I hear from her a lot. But always, and I give her a lot of credit for this, always about something we can do for the neighborhoods of Queens. So let's thank her for everything she does. And Stacey Pfeffer Amato, what a great new emerging talent, and someone who also, I think her opening comments made so clear, is going, where are you, Stacey? Where'd you go? There you are. Melinda roams around, so, you know, I never know where she is. Stacey, thank you. You've already made your presence felt, not just tonight, but previously. You speak up strongly for your neighborhood. You're carrying on a great tradition, may I say, and I'm thrilled you're in the Assembly. Thank you for all you do. I also want to note a special thank you up front, the young man who led us in the pledge. What a reminder of the strength and resiliency and the good in everybody. Let's thank Peyton Tansey again for leading us in the pledge. Now, I want to direct your attention over here. First of all, there's going to be a lot of good news tonight about public safety. Let's thank all the leaders of the NYPD who are with us. And I want you to recognize over here the commissioners who are here. This is something that happens, my friend. It doesn't happen typically in a neighborhood. It happens maybe once a year, maybe once in every 4-year term, where you have all of the leaders, almost all the leaders of the most important city agencies in one place. And so many of the things you care about, and everyone here is active in the community and cares about the community, so many of the issues you care about, these are the folks who make a difference. They are very hardworking, they are very effective, they're very committed, and you get a bonus this evening with your town hall meeting. The formal meeting goes till about 10 o'clock. When we break at 10 o'clock, feel free to come over and talk to any of the commissioners on any of the outstanding issues. If you didn't get to ask your question or something you want to follow up on, they're right here. You don't have to make an appointment. You don't have to go to City Hall. They're right here. Now, I know the people of this community are compassionate, so they may say, well, it's been a long day. Do we want to keep these poor public servants up even later? Yes, you do. They knew the answer already. Yes, you do. Because they are so committed to their jobs, they will stay here all night if you want them to. Now, I want to talk about Eric. He's right. We've had a real friendship for a long time. We don't have to agree on everything to have a friendship. Again, a valuable lesson for our friends in Washington. You do not have to agree on everything to still like and respect someone and to work together. And we have worked together on many things. He is a passionate advocate for this community. He works very, very hard to get things done. I've seen it with my own eyes. He tells it like it is. And he made a great choice in terms of his political future, running for city council again. But here's what I want to give him special credit for. We in this city pride ourselves in providing a lot of support to all sorts of people who deserve it. And there's a group of people who particularly have deserved our support for a long time and are supposed to get a lot more help from the federal government than they ever got. And they needed a champion, and that is our veterans. And Eric. Eric stood up for our veterans. I want to give him a lot of credit because he had strong ideas about what we could do better to serve our veterans through the city of New York. And sometimes he pushed, and sometimes he came to the meeting table, and sometimes he negotiated, but you know what? We got to a great place. And I'm very, very proud it was this administration, with the leadership in the council of Eric Ulrich, that created for the very first time in New York City a Department of Veteran Services. We're very proud of that fact. And, you know, we didn't just name a commissioner, any commissioner for our department. We named General Laurie Sutton our commissioner. Take a bow, General. So, Eric, thank you, and thank you for gathering everyone so we could talk about the issues. What I'm going to do for just a few minutes is give you updates, and then we're opening up to everyone. I want to echo something Eric said. It's very important. That I represent 8.5 million people. I represent all 51 council districts. I really do feel everything that's good about this city, and I appreciate all the people of this city. But I also know every community has its own characteristics. And one thing we can say about this community, this council district, and we can particularly say about the Rockaways, echoing Eric's point, one of the communities in all of New York City with the most public servants, with the most first responders, with the most veterans, with the most people who have done something for their fellow New Yorkers and their fellow Americans. And I really want to honor that. I want to thank the people of this community for all you do. And I know that comes with a cost. I know that comes with a lot of sacrifice, particularly for families, and a lot of time. I think about our first responders who have to be away from their families a lot, doing things to protect other families and serve other families. This community feels that deeply. But I've also seen incredible solidarity and resiliency in this community. I've seen people having each other's backs. After Sandy, we all saw things we couldn't hardly believe. I remember walking through Breezy Point after Sandy, and it was like there had been a bombing run to see all those plots just rubble and fire. This community's been through a whole lot. But people are strong, and they're committed to each other. And I hope to show you tonight and in the years to come, this city is committed to you too. And we appreciate all that you've done. I have to mention something somber this evening as we begin, because we're in the school, and usually a place that we think of in terms of the joy of kids coming and learning and being together. But I think people know that we lost a good young man from this school in the fire on Sunday. He went by TJ, his name Thomas Curley, 7th grader right here, 12 years old. His life was literally just starting out. And his family is still recovering. His mother, his sister, his grandmother injured in the fire too. So a horrible, horrible thing happened. And the school community is feeling it a lot. Could I ask everyone for just a moment of silence for TJ? Thank you very much. And let me give you some quick updates, and I'll do this very quick so we can open it up. So first, I mentioned it's a community with so many first responders, and I got to know a lot of first responders from this community. In the previous administration, Eric will remember these years when we had to fight to protect firehouses. I bet a lot of people in this room remember when, unfortunately, year after year in every budget, we saw firehouses slated for closure. I'm very proud to say in 4 years of my budgets, every single firehouse has been kept open. But I also know that our firehouses are so crucial to our communities in so many ways, and our firefighters deserve the right kind of situation in which to do their life-saving work. So I want to announce we'll be making 2 investments here in the community, and both of these engines responded to the fire where tragically TJ was lost, and they did so much to save the other family members. So we're going to be creating nice rehabs and making the firehouses better at Engine 266 and Engine 329, and they deserve it. Continuing on public safety, I mentioned what the leadership here in this council district from the NYPD has achieved. It's extraordinary. I want to give my thanks not only to the police leadership, I want to give my thanks to the city council and to Eric. Working with the council 2 years ago, we did something that was long overdue. We added 2,000 more officers on patrol. First time since 2001, the city's police actually increased in number. It was time for more cops on patrol. That, in combination with the neighborhood policing strategy, initiated by Bill Bratton and perfected by Jimmy O'Neill, has led to something absolutely extraordinary in this city, and you're going to be seeing a lot more about this in the coming weeks. But I want you to know, Eric, in every precinct in your council district, I'm proud to say something very simple: crime is down in every one of your precincts. In the 100th precinct, right here, major crime is down almost 8% compared to last year. 8% in 1 year. Do you want to say that, Eric? I know you're shy. I know. Is there something you want to add? Did I interrupt your presentation? Okay, as I was saying, Eric, in your district, in the 100th precinct part of your district, this year to date, there have been 0 homicides and only 1 shooting. Isn't that beautiful? Now let me take you to some other issues that matter, and another, it's about our safety, it's about our quality of life, it's about our future, is everything about resiliency. I know this will be a big issue tonight, and I want to just affirm to everyone, I was here and didn't live it the way you lived it as community residents, but I was here in the days immediately after Sandy. As I mentioned, I saw just how shocking the devastation was, and I understand how vulnerable it made people feel, and we got a lot more work to do. I can also tell you there is a fact compared to 5 years ago, some things are better. That does not for a moment let us off the hook for the many, many other things we have to do, but some things are better. On the beach, 4 million plus cubic yards of sand have been added since 5 years ago. I know a lot of it's gone, but it was added. Well, let me finish. You'll get your chance, I assure you. It was added, and it made things better, and it still makes things better than they were 5 years ago. We got more work to do. A lot of crucial things, of course, the boardwalk. We're very proud of the boardwalk. 5.5 miles on time, under budget, and a resiliency barrier unto itself. It's a really amazing thing. The old boardwalk turned out to be part of the problem when that storm hit. The new boardwalk protects everyone, and we're very proud of that. Now let's give a round of applause to everyone at EDC and Parks who made that happen. We have been doing a lot, but we got more to do. and we'll talk about it this evening, but I want to tell you one thing up front. I bet everyone can agree on this. We need our partners, and I'm going to treat them as partners. At the Army Corps of Engineers, we need them to do more, and we need them to do it more quickly. That is my view as mayor. And next month, January 26th in Washington, D.C., I have a meeting with the Commanding General of the Army Corps at his office in Washington, and I'm going there explicitly to tell him that the Rockaways need more protection and we need it to be a priority for the Army Corps. I know people have raised real concerns beyond the question of resiliency about simply the quality of the beach and the desire for more cleanups. So I'd like to announce a good step in the right direction for this next summer. We will be adding an additional 10-person cleaning crew for the most heavily used portions of the beach between Beach 59th and 117th Street. And that's the kind of thing, look, I'm not going to tell you for a moment that the future of the city financially is going to be necessarily easy, and we're very worried about some of the things that are going on in D.C. right now. But every year we look at what we can do better, and I heard that the cleanup crews would be something that would help a lot. So I'm very proud to announce that, and that'll be starting this summer. I also want to note, obviously, we're thinking about all of the councilmen's district. So I know, and I was in Broad Channel also after Sandy, and more work has to be done, but some important work has been done, raising streets, building up bulkheads, restoring wetlands. Again, Broad Channel has gotten some real improvements compared to 5 years ago, but Lord knows we got a lot more to do. In terms of other important projects, I think some of you know that on top of the $7 million that the federal government put into the Sunset Cove project, we're putting $7 million more so that we can protect the community. And I think a lot of you know that on the anniversary of Sandy, we announced a big plan, and I want to thank the council member who pushed very hard for this. I want to thank Borough President Katz, who put money into it. It's a grand total $145 million plan for improvements all over the peninsula. And in this council district especially, something so important, a park that will also be a part of the resiliency, the Beach 88th Street Park. And it will have new play areas, new seating areas, resiliency measures, kayak access. It's going to be a great new park for the community. I have heard strong voices when it comes to Shorefront Parkway, and you're going to be seeing great improvements there, playgrounds, fields, an adventure course. I don't even know what an adventure course is, but we're going to have one, and a dog park. At least I know what that is. So those are all coming soon. Now, there is something, a town hall meeting. I tell you what's going on, you ask questions, you put your needs on the table, but sometimes I also get to ask for your help so we can serve you better, and here's an example. Those parks, those resiliency measures can happen faster if the state of New York works to give us the permits that we need faster. Everyone understands nowadays you need a permit for everything. There are very stringent environmental rules, and at many levels that's a good thing, but it can often lead to more delay than any of us would like and more delay than is necessary. So I want you to support your state assembly member and your state senator. Send them a clear message, and everyone in Albany, that the faster the state approves all these projects, the faster we can get them done for you. So I really would appreciate your help. Show of hands, who's going to let their state representatives know to speed things up? All right. And you're good. You're good. I just want to make sure you got the wind at your back. All right. Couple other quick things. Education. This is the issue that, of all the issues, I care about all of them. This is the one I care about the most. And I want to tell you something that makes me very proud. We know, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know, we know that your council district, and particularly the Rockaways, did not get the investment they deserved in many, many ways for many, many decades. This is a fact. This is a fact. My job has been to try to make up for as much of that as I can. I hope the Rockaways, I hope the boardwalk, I hope the boardwalk is a good example. I'm going to talk about another example in a moment, but on the topic of education, we expanded pre-K to make it universal in the city, but some parts of the city had a lot of pre-K. They got even more, but they already had a lot. Other places didn't have a lot of pre-K. Full day pre-K for free. In your council district, council member, 4 years ago, there were 256 pre-K seats full day. There are now 1,349 seats. That is I did the math, that's a quintupling. And that is one of the districts, is one of the parts of the city that actually got the most new pre-K of any part of the city. So that helps us right the wrong a little bit. Now here's another one you will like. We're going to 3K next. I believe all 3-year-olds, obviously the parents have to make the choice of what they want, but I think every parent should have the right to have a high-quality education for free for their 3-year-old in their local school or in a local community organization or religious school, whatever it happens to be. I think parents who are working harder and harder, longer and longer hours need more and more options, and they need them to be for free, because if you have to pay for it, it's $10,000, $15,000, could even be more. No one has that kind of money, so we want these for free. 3K is starting around the city, but it will start some places faster than others, because we have to ramp it up. Turning the tables on history, I am proud to say that we will be bringing 3K to Community School District 27 starting next fall, next September, and applications will open this coming February 5th. We also have heard over the last few years real important needs from the community about more school space and making sure kids had good school environments. We've been trying to answer that need on a regular basis. The most recent example from just this last September, a couple months ago, PS 335, 500 plus seats opened up in Ozone Park in another part of your district. And one more on education, I'm so proud of this. We now in this city, we thought it was crucial for middle school kids, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, and I think anyone who knows a 6th, 7th, or 8th grader knows it is a difficult transitional time in life. Love 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, but they're a handful. They need after school. They need to be occupied. They need recreation. They need tutoring. They need a lot of things. In this city now, every middle school kid gets after school for free. That's a big change. And we now have increased the number of after-school seats in your council district by 58%, and they're all free to the kids who use them. Okay. I'm almost there. Oh, we added these ferries. Did you hear about this? We added ferries, yeah. Eric Ulrich only likes them because they serve wine and beer. I just want you to know that. He has no interest in transportation otherwise. But we added the ferries, and I'm very proud of the fact we did it. I heard you. I went to the parades. I got the message at the parades. This community is very good at getting across important messages during parades. I didn't see that, Eric. I didn't see any drinking. Let me say this. Eric's exactly right. We built this thing so no one could take it away. I want to be very clear about that. How do I put it gently? God help the future mayor who tries to take it away from you, okay? Not gonna happen. And we chose to have a price that was the same as a subway fare on purpose because we wanted to make it work for everyday people. Now, I'm very proud. The ridership's great. I get a lot of good feedback, but we need to do better. We really need to do better in summer. I want to tell you, I'm sorry, we did not anticipate that kind of ridership. We got to do a lot better next summer. We have ordered bigger boats. Here's the simple thing. I want you to know, even at City Hall, we figured out if there's more people than we expected, we need bigger boats. Okay, we did that math equation. And they will be here by spring. We also, some important things, little improvements at the terminal. We're going to be putting in some new bike racks. We're going to be putting in some new digital information kiosks to direct the many visitors to restaurants in the community. See, I take suggestions. So I'm very proud of that, and we're going to keep working to make it better all the time. The last thing I want to say, and this is for one part of the community, but it's a really big deal for people. There are 1,144 apartments at Dayton Beach Park. And there's been a lot of questions about the future, and we want to resolve those questions. So we're announcing tonight that the city will make a $55 million grant to secure the future of that development. It will be affordable for the next 35 years. And we are going to be adding resiliency measures because we want to make sure people are safe. So that is something that was hanging out there for a long time. Council member, I'm proud to say we now have taken the steps needed to fix that situation. So that's what I had to report. I look forward to your always colorful and passionate comments this evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. Thank you. Thank you again. And this was certainly, this will be the first town hall, but it doesn't have to be the last. You can come back every 6 months if you like. We could do this again. All right. So we are going to get to questions and answers, and I do want to get to as many as possible. So I want to preface that with, let's keep the speeches to a minimum and the questions to a maximum so that we can get to more and more people. And I'm going to try to work around the room, and hopefully we get to all of them tonight. But I'm going to do the best that I can, so don't shoot the messenger. So the first question, because the community board is co-sponsoring this town hall meeting, will be from Dolores Orr, the chair of Community Board 14. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So many of you know me, many of you may not know me. My family has lived here since 1930. And my grandmother was a Gold Shield detective in 1940. So I have no doubt this evening that all of these residents will challenge all of the commissioners and the mayor. They'll have lots of questions, lots of ideas, lots of concerns. So I'm not going to spend time on that. They will take care of that. You mentioned the $145 million. I was at the press conference where you mentioned that, and you quietly made a statement here tonight that you said louder there, and I have to praise the courage that you had in doing that. He sat there and very loudly and clearly took ownership, even though he was not the mayor, of how negligent the city has been to our community for decades and decades. And he made the promise there that under his administration, that would not be the case. So you've done great things for us so far. There's still a lot to do, but I've never seen any other elected official stand up and admit that they have neglected us. So I do thank you for that. And I hope all the commissioners hears his call for justice for us, okay? Tonight, my question is not going to be on behalf of the community. It's going to be for me as a resident of Dayton Beach Park that you just mentioned. We're getting $55 million, and we're concerned. Right now, the board of directors, the management company, and HPD are under an investigation by the Department of Investigation for more than a year. and we're waiting for the outcome of that. The voting for board members, shareholders have questioned the legitimacy of those elections for about 6 years now, maybe 7, and HPD never heard our cry. This year, finally, they did, and they voided the election. So DOI, from what I understand, has recommended that HPD remove the board of directors entirely, and
I just want to interrupt for a quick second,
Yes.
because in a second you're going to hear from Leiden Sleeper, who is the Chief of Staff at the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. So I just want him to speak for HPD rather than it be characterized, because it is a sensitive matter. But go ahead.
Yes, and my understanding is that the Assistant Commissioner in charge of the Mitchell-Lama Division disregarded that request by DOI, and she allowed the board to continue to operate. So we now have a concern. We're so appreciative of the $55 million to help us get back on our feet, and we are the melting pot. If you come to Dayton Beach Park, it is young and old and black and white and American-born and immigrant. We are the melting pot that Queens is, and we want to stay that way, and we want to be affordable, and we don't feel in this environment we can. So we need your help.
Thank you very, very much. In the interest of time, I'm going to say this. One, we're very aware of the history, and we want to do everything we can to address it, resolve it. Yes, there's an investigation underway, and we want to, at the end of that investigation, have a clean slate and do things right. Leiden, give us an update.
Yeah, so just to echo that, we are aware there's an investigation. We are cooperating it, and we take it very seriously. And when they come back to us with the results of that investigation, we will take the appropriate action. But in the meantime, specific to your question about the elections, we were made aware that there were issues with the shareholder list. We have suspended the election. We are doing an audit of that list. We will not do an election until that audit is complete. We also know that the management companies, the current management company's contract will end at the end of this month, and we'll bring on a new management company. And then finally, specific to the $55 million, that is being run by HDC. We are monitoring those contracts.
That's a city agency.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We control those. We're going to work with the construction company and make sure that any money that is paid out is approved by us.
So, Leiden, the question I heard, which is the core, if you can give any kind of timeline, sometimes with investigations it's hard to do, but do you have any sense of when all this wraps up?
I can't speak for the Department of Investigation.
Okay, so you guys are doing your piece, and when they finish, that's when everything can be wrapped up?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Leiden. We're going to move this way, and let me get to John Corey next, and then I'm going to move to this side of the room, and we're just going to keep spinning around until we get to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming out. I'd like to give you a gift from the Rockaway community. It's a couple of T-shirts, and you could take.
Handing you a bag. You better show everybody what's in there.
You got to show it all. So that's from a local newspaper, and pull out the other one. The other one's really cool as well. And first of all, I like to say, there's good news and there's bad news. Obviously, this is the good news. This is from a local artist named Liz. Okay. So thank you for coming out, and I know we've been very tough on you over the years, and I think maybe rightfully so. But
well,
one thing is,
it was nice while it lasted.
Well, it was. But
why don't we get to the question?
Okay. Well, the question is, you've been running around over many press conferences about the resiliency of the Rockaway Boardwalk and all the way to the Balfour Wall into 149th Street. The problem is it's not as resilient as you think it is. It only goes 1 foot into the ground. We had asked a gentleman named Greg Clancy with EDC going way back when we were in Boardwalk Designs. The problem was he said we couldn't make it overly resilient because it would take away from the Army Corps plans in the future. So as you speak to the Army Corps in January, you have to let them know about the massive erosion we have to our dunes.
Yes.
The dunes is what the SIR report came, it was with Dan Zarilli. He made this up. He was the guy under Bloomberg. So you just have to really, if you can, when you're talking to the Army Corps, they did have a major mistake, in my opinion, There's great plans on the beach side, great plans on the bay side, but somehow or another they missed the groins that are needed between 123rd Street and 149th Street. And it's really something that you really have to look into, because in the next storm, hopefully it won't be before 2020 is when they're telling us we're going to see some real construction. But the urgency, it needs to be moved up. Something needs to happen, whether you call the governor and start maybe an emergency situation where we could start construction next year. They have the plans. There's no reason why we can't start earlier. We got lifeguard shacks in the sky in 6 months because it was an emergency plan. So if you can get that done, we'd really appreciate it.
Thank you for the question. Thank you. So, look, first, we think it's a very strong resiliency measure, but I always listen to critiques and I always listen to things because we want to learn from them. But I think the most important point you're making is the timeline point. And the whole reason I'm going to Washington is I think waiting till 2020 is crazy. And I don't think when you think about the number of people affected, and yes, obviously there's been erosion. So I have a simple message. I'm going to see the commanding general of the Army Corps face to face. I'm going to say this should happen in 2018, period.
We're going to move around to this side of the room. Hank Iori has a question. We're going to keep going around. We're going to get to everybody.
Oh, great.
You even get a microphone.
Is it working? It's working.
Yeah, it's even working. Look at that.
It's great seeing you in person.
Good to see you, man.
It's really very nice that you were able to make it. We really do appreciate it.
Thank
you. And Eric, he's very special to all of us here, and he's worked very hard for this community. And the collaboration, I want to join this team because it's great. The collaboration between the two of you is wonderful. Mayor, as we know, Rockaway storm protection is the #1 concern. And we who live by the beach look at that ocean every other day and see things happening, and we've watched the erosion take place. We gathered petitions of over 2,100 people that agreed with us, and they came from across the whole peninsula and Breezy Point. Resiliency is #1, and I don't know how else to say it, but it's #1, it's #1, it's #1. And when we see monies being spent on other things that may not be as critical, we get very concerned, because when storms happen, all of us are very concerned that we can fall right back to where we were with Hurricane Sandy. So we're really trying to say that focus. My question is, it relates to storm protection for residents and property in Rockaway and Broad Channel. The Army Corps of Engineers plan is to install groins ending at 123rd Street. It's very much what John was just talking about. It should go to 149th Street. Okay?
So,
if I may,
yeah.
We know that the Army Corps is saying that the berm is going to be reinforced. We want to know when it's going to be reinforced. We're asking for groins. We know we will eventually get sand. We're even talking about reefs that would stop the energy surge onto the beach that's pulling the sand off. And that should be something that should be considered. So how can you help us in providing those kinds of things for us?
Thank you very much for the question. Before I turn to our Parks Commissioner, Mitch Silver, I want to affirm, I think that my mission is to get the energy of our congressional delegation focused on this, to appeal directly to the Army Corps, to try and focus everyone on the goals that I think make sense, and the city is ready to be their partner 100% 2018. And the other piece of the equation to me is to put keep all these resiliency projects moving. I think look, I want to just make clear, I'm a homeowner. I'm in a place that does not experience Sandy. But like every other homeowner, my home is the center of my life, and it's where all our money that we ever made in our life is invested and everything else. And I can only imagine if you had to wake up every morning and wonder whether your home was safe and whether your community was safe. And I saw with my own eyes how horrible the destruction was. So I get why everyone would say, until we feel we see all the things that we think we need, we're going to be unsettled, we're going to be worried. I agree, that's fair, and my job is to go get the most done I can get done. I think we made not only progress with the boardwalk, all the other resiliency projects I mentioned, those are real, that's real money. And in terms of your earlier point, where are we putting resiliency in the pantheon of the city's priorities? The resiliency initiative overall is $20 billion. I mean, for the whole city, we're in the process of spending $20 billion on resiliency, and we know we're going to have to do more after that. I mean, when you think about that in the context of everything we spend in the city, that's a really powerful commitment. So don't worry about anyone thinking, oh, this isn't a problem. Let's be blunt. This problem is going to be with us for decades. We're not going to be done anytime soon. And my job for the next 4 years is to get as much done as possible and then hand off to the future so they can keep building on that. So I just wanted to say that, to say you don't have to convince me that this is something we should be thinking about every single day, and your deep concern to me is very real and very fair. Mitch, I'm not an expert on all the exact details. What can you tell us on the concern about the specific sites?
Hank, how are you? As you know, the Army Corps designed both the more secure dunes, the beach replenishment, and groins. As you mentioned, the groins, the location requested, was not part of the design from the Army Corps. We certainly can ask again, but the mayor's going to Washington to expedite the work that needs to be done sooner rather than 2020, but we can certainly pose the question again. But as you know, these are designed by the engineers at the Army Corps, and they have determined that groins at that location are not needed. However, we will ask again.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, we're going to keep moving around the room. I know Jacqueline Tansey, Peyton's mom, has a question, and then we're going to move, to this section. And we're going to go section by section around the room. So, Ms. Tansey.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for letting me talk. I have just two questions. One is relating, of course, to what Hank and John said.
Can I just stop you 1 second? I'm sorry to be rude. Generally, you're Peyton's mom, so you're going to get two. But okay. Generally, the rule is, and Peyton helped us out this evening, so you get extra credit. But everyone, I just want to ask so we get to the most people. One topic per person, please. That's the only way we're going to be able to get to the most people. Go ahead. Okay.
I just wanted to add that in the court of public opinion, it's important that the city as a whole recognizes that protecting the Rockaways protects everybody. We are the front line. If we fall, Manhattan falls, Brooklyn falls. So it's important that it's not just a Rockaway issue, this affects everybody. And that's why improving and getting resiliency and storm protection is so, so important to everybody, to every citizen in New York. Now, my question relates to something that's very dear to me and my family and my son, and it's something that every summer I get tons of phone calls about. It's just really about increasing beach access to people of all abilities. And Parks has done a wonderful job in bringing more beach mats to the city's beaches, but most of them are disjointed. They kind of go halfway up the berm, maybe one continues down. They're not continuous from the street all the way down to the water, which really makes about maybe 1 in every 10 to 15 blocks somebody with a wheelchair or who has knee problems or with a stroller full of children could get to. So I would just love to see, it's a small measure that I think economically is not very expensive, but will have a huge impact for the citizens of Rockaway.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So that sounds like a damn reasonable request. So what do you say, Dottie?
Mr. Mayor, we've done our best on a number of streets to add the Moby mats that go completely
a little
over
louder,
the dune.
Dottie.
We've done that in a number of locations. I know that your street is one that you'd like to see another. We can certainly look at that. The way they are, they come up, they go over. They're not ADA compliant. And when we met with Belle Harbor and Neponset, you all agreed they didn't need to be ADA compliant. You just wanted the access. Let's look at your street and see what we can do. I know the council member was interested.
Can I just say, good start. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. I heard the question loud and clear, and I think it's a very fair question. So what I do at a town hall meeting is sometimes I commit to things. Sometimes I say, no, I'm not going to do it. Sometimes I say, I need to know how much it'll cost. So this one's in the I need to know how much it'll cost category. So Dottie, you let me know.
I will let you know.
You can write it down and bring it to me while we're going through some more questions. And let's see how far we can go on this for next summer. So come back to me, and I'll give you an answer shortly.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And Jean Belford, we're going to hear from a new group here in Rockaway, Mayor. She's representing the Rockaway Women for Progress.
All right.
Hi.
We'll see you. I like that name.
Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
You're doing great, and if you had come here before the election, you would have done better here, right at this polling spot.
Oh, wow.
Welcome. Your ferries have changed the way I look at the city and the way a lot of people in Rockaway look at the city, and you got something done that people were trying to do, mayors were trying to do for a very long time. So in that vein, I want to ask you about something that we've been asking for years. It's a real need. Years ago under Giuliani, my understanding is that he had the firemen trained to be first responders for when an ambulance gets called. So the call time gets stopped and logged, and the response time gets measured from when the firemen arrive at maybe when someone's having a heart attack. Mm-hmm. So we don't really have good statistics here in Rockaway for when an ambulance arrives, but anecdotally, it's a long time. They have to redeploy ambulances. Some of the ambulances aren't fully equipped for what the emergency is. We have one hospital. It's subpar. They often call EMS and say that they have to redirect. So unless it's cardiac arrest, you have to go elsewhere. We talked about TJ. TJ and his entire family had to go to Nassau County. If we have an emergency on this peninsula, we have to cross a bridge. We have to contend with Cross Bay Boulevard, Woodhaven Boulevard, the Van Wyck, the Belt Parkway, or all of Far Rockaway. We need a trauma center where resiliency... We are putting in lots of money to be resilient. We're trying to grow economically. As you said before, we are disproportionately first responders and emergency service workers. We deserve to have a hospital. We deserve to have a trauma center, not just a hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I think in the spirit of the evening, over the years, people have put things on my screen. They've brought things to my attention. They've made me understand things that are really needed. And obviously, I feel we've been able to do some of those things. This one, I want to be real straightforward with you. I haven't heard over the years this concern raised before, at least no place I've been. That doesn't mean it's not a good concern. I'm saying I'm hearing it now for the first time, and I've had plenty of times just saying the truth. So I appreciate the concern. I know how I was actually out here a while back when there was a concern that the hospital might be closed, fighting to protect the hospital. And there were rallies that I participated in years ago back when I was public advocate. But at a separate question of the trauma center, that's a new and important point for me. So I can't answer you now because it's new, but I'm taking it in. Let me go back and check on that, and I can certainly report back to you. Yep, I know he just told me Jamaica. Yeah, no. Perfectly fair concern. Again, just new to me, so I will come back with an answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gene. Thank you very much. Next question is coming from Lou Simon, because he's ready to jump out of his seat if I don't call on him. But we're going to get around to as many questions and people as possible, working our way around the room. I promise. Okay.
Good evening. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I think this is our third night together. Great seeing you.
It's an honor, Lou. We go to all the right events.
Yes.
All the right events.
Yes. One of the questions I want to talk about is transportation, and I've asked you this. I even went election night to congratulate him and ask him this. The one thing that we need here desperately is better transportation. I would like you to ride the A train with me. It's a horror. The people who live in Rockaway Park have to connect. There's no straight way. And we've been fighting all the years you know me, for many years, we've been fighting to reactivate the old Rockaway Beach line of the railroad, okay? That is a win-win for the whole 32nd Council District. It's a win-win for Genting, which is the biggest job provider, okay? This has to become a reality. I know we're waiting for the study. It seems to keep getting pushed in the back room. Mm-hmm. It's been this way for years. I feel when this study, I just want to, 1 second and I'll stop.
Okay, I just want to say, everyone, Lou, I know you forever.
Yes.
Everybody, a little bit less on the speeches, a little more on get to the concern so we can get to the most people.
I'm believing in my heart that that study will come out in our favor. We'd like your
Thank
support in the reactivation of the Rockaway
Let me give you an update. Lou, I want to report to everyone, Lou Simon also does not have a shyness problem. Okay, couple things. One, unquestionably, there's a transportation crisis in the Rockaways, which is why, for the first time ever, we have permanent citywide ferry service. One point, and it's not going anywhere. Proud of that. Two, we've been expanding select bus service, which helps. You can, well, everyone, it helps. It helps. You can dislike it, but I guarantee you it helps. So, but to the point about the line, the MTA has to finish that study. They just have to. What you feel in your heart, what I feel in my heart, isn't the same as actually knowing for sure what we'd be getting into, and whether the logistics, the costs, everything. We need to push the MTA to do that. Now, this is where I do an audience survey. We're going to test what you think is the current situation with the MTA. You have two choices. This is a factual question. Do you believe, you got to get two choices, city or state. Do you believe, who in this room believes the MTA is run by the city of New York? Raise your hand if you believe the MTA is run by the city of New York. If you believe the MTA is run by the state of New York, raise your hand. A very informed audience, Mr. Ulrich. So that's not passing the buck. That's looking at where the power is, okay? Hold on. The MTA is controlled by the state. They name the personnel, they set the budget, etc. It's controlled by the state. That is a factual reality. We can see it with our own eyes. I have members on the MTA board. They do not have a majority share. They make their voices heard. Polly Trottenberg is one of them. They fight for the right things. Polly will go to the MTA meetings and insist on speeding up that study because we can't make a decision without it. And I'm not going to say in advance what I would decide. I have to see the facts. So she'll fight for it. I would ask your excellent state assembly member to push the MTA, since it's run by the state, to get that study done too. But we can't answer the question until we have that piece of the equation. Okay? Thank you.
Mayor, I just want to make an announcement. Our good friend, State Senator Joe Adabo, just walked in. I know it's a little late. Hi,
go.
Senator.
Well, wait, why are you standing in the back? Why are you standing in the back?
All right.
Joe Adabo does have a shyness problem. Joe and I served in the city council many years, and he is doing an outstanding job in Albany. Thank you for all you do for the
Senator.
city.
Thank you, Senator Adabo. Thank you. Okay, why don't we continue here? Actually, let's go to the second row. I'm going to come back around for you, Karen, but I know this. You have a question. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I apologize. Okay.
My name is Jackie DeLuca. Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. I was really happy to hear you express your commitment to education earlier, and I have a two-part question for you. Okay. I might just
a one-part
both,
question.
though.
I want everyone to do a one-part question. Go ahead.
So, my first, you said that all kids, middle school kids specifically, have access to free after school. I'm a middle school administrator, and I know in my school, that is not accurate. And so,
Not all in the
first
school.
part.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm going to just fact point. I explicitly do not want to give the wrong impression. Every child is paid for. If it's in the school has the space and there's a program, then it's in the school. If it's in the neighborhood, otherwise, it's accessible to the kid.
So my question there was, do you plan to re-release the DYCD grants that allowed some city community organizations to participate and build after-school programs? You released them at the beginning of your first term. I hope you do so. And then my second part is, what concrete actions will you take specifically for Rockaway, but the rest of the city?
Okay, I'm really got to stay. I respect you, but I got to get people to one question each, or I won't be able to cover as many people. So I'm going to stay on the first one, which is a great one. We want the middle school after-school initiative to grow. It's doubled in size from the day I came into office to today. There's about twice as many kids in after-school at the middle school level. We want it to keep growing. So yes, we're going to need more partners. We're going to have opportunity for schools that are not yet doing it to do it. We're going to have sites that are doing it to become bigger. So DYCD is here. Where's DYCD?
DYCD is here.
There you go. Will you follow up?
Yes.
And help her to understand what we can do to work with her?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I will.
Thank you very much. Let's move on. Danny Ruscillo up here in the front. We're going to keep going around. We're going to get to as many people as possible.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Eric Owers, good evening. I know we speak on NPR a lot. Tonight, my question is regarding our Rockaway wastewater treatment plant on Beach Channel Drive. For years now, our community has been up with a horrible odor from this plant. In August 2014, I and other community residents were granted a tour of this plant thanks to our Queensborough president, Melinda Katz. We were shown on that day the 4 major tanks which emit the worst of the bad odors, a cost of nearly $1 million to cap these tanks. However, when I asked about the more than 20 other tanks not capped off, I was informed it would cost too much money and that approximately 20% of the odor was being emitted from them anyway. So they're trying to say that it wasn't a lot. Well, I and many of the other residents beg to differ. If only 20% of the odor is being emitted, something stinks.
Okay.
Wait,
Well, again, not too many speeches.
No,
You just get to the punchline.
Please, all right, please don't tell us about the new equipment filters or there's no running water in the tanks not capped off. Why should the residents, some of the business, the schools in the vicinity, all the vehicles traveling by the plant, and now New York City ferry ridership, visitors who have to stand in long lines near that plant be subjected to this horrendous odor, and especially through the hot summer months? We need a date tonight for the capping of all the tanks at this plant, like other city plants. Thank you, and I hope we don't have to hold our noses and wait any longer.
Well done. Well done. Our DEP Commissioner, Vinny Sapienza.
He's a constituent, by the way.
And a constituent.
He's a constituent and a wonderful guy.
And a wonderful guy, too.
All of those things. Thank you, Eric. So you're right. We did a survey probably about 6 years ago, and we found that 80% of the odors were coming from one set of tanks called the primary tank effluent launders. And we said we're going to cover those, and we did. And all of the odorous air that's now under that cover goes through a carbon scrubber. The rest of the plant is not covered. What I've been finding, because I've been hearing the odor complaints from you all, is that we just need to do better maintenance on that carbon scrubber that's pulling out those odors, because it seems that it's just exhausting itself quicker than we thought. And I've asked the staff there to just stay on top of it more frequently. I'm going to be personally monitoring it well. And going forward, if we need to do more, we're certainly open.
Wait. I'm asking the follow-up question now. Now, I'm upset. So, Vinny, you're wonderful, but I want a sharper answer. So this is a problem that sounds like a fixable problem, right? Sometimes you and I have been at the previous 45 town hall meetings where people want something that literally cannot be achieved or is well beyond our finances or whatever. This sounds more fixable. Just help us all understand. What's it going to take to fix it?
So rather than covering the other 80% of the tanks, I personally think from being out there that we need to tweak the system that we installed about 5 years ago.
And how long will it take to tweak?
It's being done now.
Well, give me a timeline for the full tweaking.
It's Mayor and everyone, it's just really staying on top of that odor control unit. And it's, if we, and again,
Vinny, you're losing me, Vinny.
It is. No.
Okay.
It's,
wait. Let's try and hold on. Let's try and give this a little more shape. Can we give what we think might be the tweaking timeline?
Right.
Anything. Work with me.
I've asked the plant staff to replace that carbon more frequently.
How long does that
personally
take?
think it's getting instead of doing it every 4 months, we probably need to do it every 2 months.
Okay. Why don't we do it every 2 months?
And we've started.
Okay, everybody, we're trying to figure this out. Hold on. So why don't we just do it every 2 months, okay, to start? And can you go out, inspect it yourself, meet with the community residents, and figure out a more tangible timeline? I know I'm not saying everything's easy, and there are subtleties, but I think it's a really fair question, and you should be able to say to people, if it's going to take a year, then it's going to take whatever the heck it is. I think people need a more defined answer. Will you go out and meet with the community
I will.
leaders?
Just one quick question. Do you think it's any better than 5 years ago when we had no? You don't think it's improved at all?
Okay. No, you gave a good answer there. No. Okay. So
we'll go out.
Let's agree. Hold on, everyone.
Right.
We need an actual plan. Vinny's very good. I want to tell you, despite the mushiness of his answer, he's usually very, very good. So, Vinny.
I don't know if that's the right adjective to use here. Mushy.
Whatever.
A sewage plant.
Yeah. Vinny, you live in this city council district. Okay. You're going to go and meet with people. You're going to tour the plant. You're going to figure out exactly what steps. If you need money, come see me. I hope it's not too much money. And let's see how we can fix it. And let's then return to the community with a timeline.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Sapienza. Okay, so now we're at this section, and let me break. Let me just go to the back, and then I'll come back to the front, just to be fair. All right. Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you.
I'm going to come back to you.
Just on the transportation issue, especially I live in the eastern end of the peninsula in Far Rockaway, and the ferry does not really tremendously benefit us. Obviously, if there was an emergency, it would, but on a regular day-to-day commute or going to the city for meetings, my question is there something that's being done to address the cost equity with the Long Island Railroad? Because that's right at my back door.
Thank you for the question, but I want to first do the first part. I want actually James to jump in, because on the ferry itself, we're trying to, look, when we put it in, we wanted to reach as many people as possible, and we put the shuttle bus in too, and we've been trying to make sure the shuttle bus works for as many people as possible. So James, I think we've added some additional service on the shuttle bus, right?
That's correct. Working with Councilmember Richards, we added a shuttle bus that runs to downtown Far Rockaway, which we are piloting for the next few months to see about ridership. We realize it's still a long trip, but we are running additional shuttle service.
Right. I'm going to answer your other part, but I just want to say, just so you know, we're trying to find ways, and if people like that shuttle bus service, they should use it because it'll tell us to keep doing it to make the ferry a better option. But on the Long Island Railroad, before I pass to Commissioner Polly Trottenberg, look, that's a pure budget matter. It's a very good proposal. It's the kind of thing I'd love to see the state fund. I'm not going to be shocked if the state doesn't fund it. At this moment, I don't have the city funding for it, but it's the kind of thing we're going to keep looking for. I think bluntly, this comes down to a lot of what happens the next few weeks in Washington, whether we are left at all, held harmless at all when all the smoke clears on the tax bill and the budget, or whether we're really set back. If we're set back, that's the kind of thing that would be, unfortunately, well out of our grasp. But do you want to?
But I will just add, and some of you may be aware, the MTA had proposed a pilot to expand the city ticket to give residents of the city who live near Long Island Railroad stops a chance to come in at a half-price fare. Unfortunately, that pilot got a bit delayed because of all the work that had to be done this summer in Penn Station, but we have been back on them to put that pilot back on track. We really want to see, as the mayor mentions, we need to solve the fiscal question, but we also want to make sure that it works, that people will use it, that the MTA can manage it, and that's obviously something where the elected officials have also been very helpful.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Trottenberg. I want to keep moving faster. We got to try to pick up the pace a little bit, so why don't we go right here? Go ahead, yeah.
My name is Leslie Mahoney.
Hold on, Ms. Mahoney.
No. My name is Leslie Mahoney. And what I'm really concerned about, you've put a lot of money and effort into this Build It Back project, and we are so grateful. But, how do I say, the contractors are subcontracting and subcontracting that at the end of the day, when there's a problem, there's nobody to call. I can name 5 different units, but the design team, they meet, and we're not all educated in what should be in a house.
Right.
So when you come to a house that was a 2-story house or a 1-story and used to have a basement, now it no longer has a basement. Okay, I understand that. But there's lost footage, which the homeowner didn't realize first. The lightings, the electrical boxes, it's unseemly to put them on the front of your house. You're a homeowner.
Yep.
And nobody knew to ask. So when you come in and you see this box on the front of your house, you go, what? And he goes, oh, you didn't say anything before.
Yeah.
It's things like this. And then you can't even go back if Tishman is your guy, if this is, he says, well, I subcontracted, half of them, and I hate to say this, and I'm not by minorities, but they don't even speak English to answer a question when you go there. There's no hurricane straps being put on half of the houses. Just significant issues, and we just really don't know who to address with them.
I appreciate. Now I'm going to bring Amy Peterson over. I really appreciate the question, and it's a very fair question, to say the least. Let me start by saying this before Amy speaks. I want everyone to know, I think we can all agree on this simple statement. Thank God Build It Back is about to end. Okay? I think we can all agree on that, for every reason. I'm not happy with what happened at all. Some of that was before we got here, but I've said very publicly, I think it took us too long to figure out what was wrong with it, and if we were smart, we would have bluntly scrapped it and started all over again. But we felt, there was a lot of momentum, we should continue it. I've also said publicly, if God forbid there's another disaster, a hurricane or anything, we're never going to do it the same way as Build It Back. We're going to do an entirely different approach because it was the wrong approach. But that being said, it's about to end. So first of all, in the next few months, all but a handful of houses will be done. But there are still outstanding issues like you raise. We want to finish better than we started. Amy Peterson took on a really tough situation that was, not done right. She got it, received it. Wasn't her idea. She's done her damnedest to fix it, and has also made it a point to be very accessible and to go out in the community and talk to people. So, Amy, on this question of the subcontractors on the one hand, and if you find suddenly your house has a feature you didn't expect or something like that, assuming that the construction is not yet complete, tell us how your office can help people see if there's ways to finish up things the right way.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm accessible and the person to talk to, as are Rudy Giuliani and Greg Mitchell, who are here. But
not the original Rudy Giuliani, the new Rudy Giuliani.
And well known here, I think.
Okay.
Yes. But what we are trying to do is make sure, especially when we do turn the house over, that we have somebody from the center who communicates well with homeowners there, with the contractor and everyone to answer all the questions. Some of the stuff is dictated by Con Ed, like the electrical piece you talked about. But let me go and meet with you and look at these houses and these issues together, okay?
Sounds
Thank
good.
you very much.
We're going to go just a little bit out of order because Peyton actually had his hand up, Mayor, and I want to give him a chance. I think he has a question, so and then we'll continue down if that's all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next year I'm going to college, and I'll be in Manhattan a lot. And as Lou, I think, was saying earlier, the problem is getting out of Rockaway to Manhattan sucks.
You're using a technical term.
And the ferry helps a lot, but it brought it from unspeakable bad to sucking.
No, the ferry's better. Come on, the ferry doesn't suck. Hold on.
It doesn't.
The ferry's good, but it doesn't get you everywhere you need to go.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
The ferry doesn't bring you exactly where you need to go, and the A train doesn't help with that. And buses getting to Manhattan is not viable because it takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Is there any way that maybe you could help get everybody to and from Rockaway when they need?
Look, I appreciate the question, and it's one of those questions that points out just how big the challenge is. Couple of different things. The ferry service, again, we're going to make better because we're going to add the bigger boats, so there won't be the same lines that people have experienced, so at least that will become an easier experience. It will get you to one very central place, but it won't get you everywhere. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. We're going to push the MTA, and we need help. Again, we need help, everyone pushing the state to do more frequent service in terms of subway, day, train, buses, et cetera. But is it what it should be? No, I can't pretend it is, and I don't see an easy fix to the overall situation. Our job is to take the piece that we control, which is the ferry service, and make sure that continues to improve. But Victor Calisi, our commissioner for the mayor's office, people with disabilities, go ahead.
Thank you. We are working with Accessorize to figure out ways to streamline the system and use wheelchair-accessible cabs that can get you from point A to point B quicker. And on your behalf, I will reach out to the Accessorize and see if we can get you on that program to give you that direct service so you don't have to make stops in between, that it can get you from point A to point B.
All right.
At the same price as a subway.
Thank you. Commissioner Calise.
Hold on.
Ozone Park native. Good man.
No, you're good. Thank you for the excellent answer. Also, Accessorize, just want to make a bigger point, Accessorize run by the MTA, run by the state, and we're trying, but here's where we're trying to collaborate with them, and I know Victor mentioned this, I just want to emphasize, We think they can do things in better ways. Even though we have some differences on the MTA's approach, we're still trying to help them to figure out better and more modern, how's that for a word, modern ways to run Access-a-Ride. But now we're going back to your question. We got your question, now we're going to get your mom's question. Going back to the question of the mats. So I have an update. Eric, I will pay for this. You don't have to pay for it. So,
music to my ears.
That's like, you like that. You like that.
Let's keep that going.
Let's write more of that. Okay, between 127th Street and 149th Street, we will pay for the staffing and for any additional equipment needed, so the mats will be in place on every street in that block, in that section. And that is, Eric, that is $200,000 more that your district has than it had 5 minutes ago.
Thank
so
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. All right, we're on to this section, and we'll take a question again from our friends at Rockaway Women for Progress.
Yes.
They've taken over that whole section, I think.
We're
This is
very
like-
friendly, yes. Can you hear me?
We're coming back around. We are getting to...
My name is Elda, and I'm coming back to storm protection. And since you're going to Washington in January, one of the really disappointing things that has happened with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is that they are not showing concern for communicating information to us that we need to feel better about their plan and their proposal. We know they're going to be spending roughly $400 million, and they have a plan for the Rockaway Peninsula, but there is no timetable, specific timetable. There's no explanation of the process. They have essentially disappeared. So if you could help us with understanding the process, the timetable, and certainly make it much quicker, as you mentioned.
That's exactly right, and thank you for the question. For job one is to get a plan that is a faster plan and a firm commitment. And I think that should be 2018. I think the second thing is to explain, to have it in a way that we can explain it to everyone what you can expect. Now, Rome wasn't built in a day. I don't know the first meeting will yield everything. But I want to go to the commanding general, look him in the eye and say, look, this is a huge number of people depending on this. Let's do this. Let's make it public. Let's get it solidified. And we'll keep going back. And again, I want to get our senators involved. I want to get Congressman Meeks involved, everyone to push for the same thing. But yes, the plan needs to be specific, tangible, faster, and public. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think Denise Nebel had a hand, and then we're going to hear from Betty, the chair of Community Board 10. But first, let's get Denise Nebel from Breezy Point.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, and welcome, Mayor. Good to see you again. I represent the neighborhood of Breezy Point, and we appreciate all the efforts your office is taking to meet with us and hear our concerns, to work with us in developing a resolution for our FEMA coastal protection project. We look forward to coming to a resolution on this and protecting the communities of Roxbury, Rockaway Point, Breezy Point, tying them into protection for the entire Rockaway Peninsula, as well as the mainland of Brooklyn. Our project has positive impacts well beyond Breezy Point. My question tonight is regarding State Road and Rockaway Point Boulevard. This roadway is the only means of access into and out of the community in the western end of the peninsula. The erosion at Beach 193rd Street and the Cove, which is owned by NPS, is such that the water is now only 50 to 80 feet from the roadway. During typical seasonal storms and nor'easters, the water comes closer to breaching the roadway, compromising the safety and welfare of not only our communities, but the entire western end of the Rockaways. During the non-winter season, overgrowth of vegetation impedes the bicycle lane and the roadway. Repeated requests to deal with these situations have resulted in no action. What can proactively be done to correct this before a tragic accident or an event occurs?
Thank you very much for the question. And this may be more than one of my colleagues, so whichever combination should come forward. Let me say on the first part, thank you for raising the whole, all the issues you raised. Again, I can, in my own way, try and put myself in your shoes and think, if you have to worry that the road won't be there because of a storm, you won't be able to use it, I can imagine how a deep concern that is for everyone there. We've got to address that. We've got to make sure people feel secure. On the first point you raised, I just want to share your confidence. I am confident we will find a good resolution on that issue. And you're right that addressing the resiliency is good for Breezy and surrounding neighborhoods, but also good for the whole city. So again, we're going to keep working to get that resolution done. Commissioner Trottenberg, in terms of how we protect the road.
Well, I think you're right in what you said, Mr. Mayor, and I was just talking to the council member. It's a complicated jurisdiction with that roadway. City DOT has done in to do some patching work, but it's a bigger project that probably involves state and our federal partners. But I think we'll come talk to you afterwards and see if we can put our heads together on it.
Okay, so let's work to come up with a specific plan, again, with some timelines attached.
I think that's great. Now, the next question is from Betty Brayton, the chair of Community Board 10, also one of the co-sponsors tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for taking the time to come here. I realize this is a Rockaway crowd, but there are some people from the Board 10 side of Eric's district. We represent all of the Howard Beach community and the Ozone Park and South Ozone Park portions of Councilmember Ulrich's district. I don't expect a full answer tonight, but I would ask that when you go to Washington and you're talking to Army engineers, that you also push for the projects on the Howard Beach side that are much needed.
Yep.
And for some of the smaller resiliency projects that the city could be doing that would protect our communities. You know, as frequently as today, there were people in Howard Beach and particularly Hamilton Beach that got their feet wet this morning. Very minor tidal event. There are things that can be done, that need to be done, that probably are not in the megabucks department. We would urge you to provide to Board 10 and to the councilman an update on what we can do to address some of those issues.
So let me ask this. I appreciate the question very much. And I want to see if our team has some specifics to offer, because if you have some, I want to hear them. Or if we don't have some yet, I want to hear what's on the top of your menu. Bulkheads on city-owned property. Okay. That's the nomination. This is like Jeopardy. We have bulkheads on city-owned property for 100 points. Janie, what can you tell us?
We don't have any specifics to offer right now, but we're aware of this issue. This was related to the supermoon and tidal flooding. So we know that this is a growing issue, and we'll continue to talk to you.
So we will add it to both the agenda in terms of the Army Corps, but also to the city's resiliency agenda. And again, when we have these meetings, what I want to hear is someone raises an important point, we go back, try and define what's the plan of action, what's the timeline, what can we do, also be honest about what we can't do right away, you know, just give you the straight answer. So we need to get a specific plan for Howard Beach and come back.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, we're going to move on. I know Karen Sloan Payne has been patiently waiting, and she's a wonderful advocate for our community. She has a question for the mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to the transportation issue and the middle of the peninsula where we have both Eric and Donovan right across the street. We're having issues. Now, the first two issues are not a city issue. We have no train stop between 67th and Beach 90th. We also just lost 2 bus stops. But what you can help us with is we have no ferry shuttle stop between 67th and 86th. This is an issue that was brought up to the DOT before. It was brought up at community board meetings, and we still have no stop.
Say that between which streets again?
Between 67th and 86th.
So
it's like
basically
a 20
blocks.
block. Yeah.
James Patchett is the president of the Economic Development Corporation. So they run the ferries. When they're running well, you can say thank you. When they're not running so well, you can go find them. But James, James, at 20 blocks is a long stretch. What can we do?
I agree with you. It is a long stretch. I was alerted to this in advance of this meeting. I want to come meet with you and your team and look at it myself, so I'll walk it with you. It does seem like a really long distance, and it is the longest stop along the corridor. I had not heard about it prior to preparing for this, but I'm going to come out and meet with you and other folks and walk along that corridor and see.
Let me ask this. So
Yes.
we're going to be very objective here. You're going to go look and make sense of it.
Yes.
If you come to the conclusion we need another stop,
Yes.
I assume that's not the most complex thing to implement.
No, it's very easy. The issue is just how long it is for other riders on the shuttle.
You got to think about the totality.
Correct.
But so again, I'm not going to prejudge, but if you think it's something we want to do, it's pretty fast and easy to implement.
If it's easy to, if it makes sense to do, I can take care of it for you myself.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
And that needs to be taken account.
100%. I will be meeting with you within the next month.
Lots of new development. We're going to keep moving.
James,
we have
this month. You'll be
an
meeting
hour
with her
and
this
15
month.
minutes, so I want to, if we can get to questions fast, we'll do Pat McCabe and then Eddie Pastore, and then we're going to keep working our way around the room. I see Joe Hardigan's hand. We're going to try to keep working our way around. I'm doing the best I can. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mrs. McCabe.
Mayor, thank you for coming down. I work for you. I work for the fire department.
Use the microphone.
Thank you for what you do. We appreciate it.
My question to you is going to touch upon what Dolores said in HPD. I live in those buildings.
Yeah.
And I use your tools. I call 311.
Yep.
I call the Department of Buildings when they take out pools without the permits. The Board of Directors president threatened to put my stuff on Facebook. So I outed myself. I'm sober 26 years. I
God
shouldn't
bless.
have to out myself because of nobody listening to us at HPD. We have no security. I hate going home. And because I take advantage of the tools by calling you and DOI and the Department of Buildings, I'm being threatened. I don't think that's fair, and I think that HPD's inactivity is compromising my living.
Okay. First of all, thank you for serving the city of New York. Thank you. Thank you for trying to make things better where you live for everyone. And thank you also because it takes bravery to say when you're in recovery, but it's something we all should be very proud of. So I'm proud of you for what you're doing. So Leiden, you're going to follow up, but the specific issue I'm concerned about of all of them, number one is safety and security. So what can we do to help address the security presence at the building?
First I'm hearing of this specific issue, but we will certainly follow up. On the security within the building, we will work with the new management company that's starting on January 1st, make sure that they get up to speed very quickly, whatever changes we can to work with them to improve the conditions at Dayton Beach Park. We will do that, and I think that is critical.
Let me improve your answer just a little. If they're going to take over on January 1st, meet with them before January 1st, so when they come in with security.
Smooth transition,
Okay,
yes.
we'll do that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Eddie Pastore, next question. We're going to get to as many as we can. Let's try to get to more questions, though. Less speeches, more questions. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this is so much nicer than screaming on the steps of City Hall.
You just told me you were there. I would have said come right in.
Actually, you ran away from us that time.
I didn't run away. I never run away. No. I never run away. I just walk purposely by.
Okay, all right. This might come as a shock to Commissioner Silver, Dottie, because I'm not going to speak about the beaches. What I want to speak about tonight is the housing courts. And I spoke to a lot of stakeholders in the area that have 2- and 3-family buildings that, you know, they're good landlords, but they have an issue with a tenant, and it takes 6 months to 8 months to get them out, costing them thousands of dollars in lost rent, legal fees, and then half the times they have to renovate the apartment because the people destroyed it. As a matter of fact, one woman of a neighbor of mine, they left the water running for months, and the water bill was like 15 times higher than it should be. But from what I understand, that there was 5 judges, and now there's only 3, and 2 need to be appointed, or something like that. And people are starting to think that this is by design, so people are not pushed into homeless shelters and situations like that. Now, I understand the situation when you have these corporate landlords that want to get grandma out to raise the apartment. But I'm talking about mom and pops that own houses. You own a house. You have a problem with your tenant. You got to go to housing court. It takes 8 months to resolve the issue. Whether wrong
No,
or
it's a
not.
perfectly valid point. Let me speak to it. Couple different pieces to the concern. So there is no question. First of all, the vast majority of smaller landlords, as you described, family landlords, do everything that they can to create a good place for people to live, and they play by the rules. I think the vast majority of tenants play by the rules. There are some bad apples in every bunch. There's no question. Just like we've said, we know some of the bigger landlords in particular have done some things that are illegal or immoral. I know there are some tenants who have gamed the system too and have been unfair to the smaller landlords. We would like to address that too. The question, I'm going to ask Steve Banks, who's our Social Services Commissioner, to answer this because he has a vantage point on it. The question of whether our housing court needs more judges, I don't know because we don't run the housing court. The housing court is once again run by the state of New York. The state appoints the judges. There's a lot that's run by the state, and they should be held responsible for their stuff the same way I am held responsible for police, fire, sanitation, schools, parks, et cetera, et cetera. But I do agree with you fundamentally. I don't want to see a tenant scam a landlord. I don't want to see a landlord scam a tenant. I want to approach both parts of the equation. So, Steve, one, is there, to the best of your understanding, a need for more housing court judges? Because that's something people can work on with their state representatives. And two, if a landlord feels that they're being treated unfairly in the equation, who can they turn to for help?
So first of all, I'm sorry to hear this. In terms of the housing court, the chief judge, Janet Fiore, appointed a task force to look into this. I understand one of the recommendations they are looking at is more judges. We have a representative on that task force. It's a point we've been making, and we will continue to make that point. We think that it would be helpful.
For everyone's knowledge and my knowledge, how many judges more do we think would help?
They have 51 current judges in the entire city. And Queens has obviously much fewer than that. The Chief Judge's Task Force is still evaluating how many more they may need. But this is something we're on top of, and we'll certainly come to you, Mayor, because you've got a great platform to advocate for this. There are a number of things that I want to just say from our perspective of providing social services.
Stay fast.
Delays don't help tenants. They don't help landlords. We put a lot of things in place to try to pay rent faster, to pay for repairs when they're needed, and we're going to follow up with you directly if you've got any particular landlords or you have a tenant problem yourself.
That would be great. All right, we got a little more than an hour to go. Joe Hartigan is no longer sitting. He's now standing, so if I don't call on him, I think he's going to rush the center.
Joe Hartigan. Mayor, thank you for the ferry. I got a little...
The ferry champion here.
Ferry champion.
Okay.
That's the... That's the nicest. That's the nicest title you can have, Ferry Champion. Thank you very much.
My question is here. We got a situation in Rockaway. I call it a tale of two bird sanctuaries.
Hold on. It's making Rockaway great again. Okay. That's good.
That's something we can all agree on.
That's something we can all agree on. I don't care where the slogan comes from. I like it.
It's not red.
That's right.
It's not red. I got a blue one for you.
There you go.
And some of us in Rockaway did vote for you.
Okay, good man.
And
good
we'll
man.
vote for you for governor, too.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow. Whoa.
Anyway.
It's getting hot in here.
Okay. We got a problem here in Rockaway. I call it a tale of two bird sanctuaries. We got a bird sanctuary in Breezy Point. They're allowed to use the beach. We got a bird sanctuary in Beach 60th Street to Beach 30th Street, and they can't use the beach. What are you living in Rockaway if you can't use the beach? I call it nothing short of beach profiling by the New York City Parks Department. Mayor,
okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Wait a minute. I got to interrupt. You managed in 1 minute to get making Rockaway great again and the phrase beach profiling into your presentation. This is star of the night right here. He's the star of the night. MVP.
Mr. Mayor, I was on the train with a woman who had a better tan than me with two young sons. And I asked her, where do you go to the beach? I bought a house on Beach 34th Street. I get in my car and drive to Coney Island. This is unacceptable.
Get your microphone closer.
She drives to Coney Island. Or she goes to the beach at 116th Street, which none of us would do. This is an easy problem. This section of beach is the only section of beach on all of New York State where you're not allowed to use the beach because of piping plovers. Everywhere else, they put sections and paths down the beach. I've approached this man numerous times. I've sent him registered letters. One thing someone cannot say in this room is Joe Hartigan never told me. So,
okay.
I look forward
well
to
done.
Thank you, Joe.
Well done. He told you. All right, Mitch, what do you got?
I have been told. And I'm now going to defer it. It is a federal issue, and I'm going to defer it to a former. It is a federal issue.
Wait a minute. Who at the federal government?
U.S. Fish and Wildlife regulate the plovers, and now I'm going to hand over to not only our commissioner.
Hold on,
but
we're not done here. We're not done. We're not done. Fish and Wildlife. Okay, let me hear. I have a new idea, but let's hear what you got.
We're certainly willing to join us to have a conversation with them, but they govern the rules about protecting the plovers at this section of the beach.
Okay. Do you have something to add, Dottie?
This is a former urban park ranger, if you didn't know that.
Park ranger. Okay.
Who educate the public on the plovers, but I'll let Dottie explain a bit more. But we are open to meeting with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Hold on. Let's see what we got.
Well, I was just going to add, we meet with U.S. Fish and Wildlife annually. So for the spring meeting, I'm going to invite, if that's okay, Mr. Hartigan to come to the meeting.
Hold on.
You'll have an opportunity with us to understand what we're regulated by and have an opportunity to plead what you're raising about issues in other areas that are not New York City parkland, so I can't speak to it. But I think it'd be helpful if we sit together.
Hold on. We don't do the back and forth, so we got your idea. We really got your idea. It was very powerful. I'm now questioning my own team. So, Dottie, why, if it's true that other places with these birds you can use a beach, why couldn't you use the beach here?
I don't have the answer for that because it's not parkland. I just know that U.S. Fish and Wildlife regulates what we do.
Let's do the same idea that we did on a much, obviously, very, very big issue around resiliency. Let's apply the same concept. Is Fish and Wildlife under Department of the Interior?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going down to Washington on the 26th of January. I'm going to ask for a meeting with the Interior Secretary to raise this issue, to see if this can be reevaluated. So people, my brother, we're not doing back and forth. Sorry. I got you. They'll follow up with you. So we are going to pursue the issue to see if there's something that the federal government will allow us to do to make it more possible for people to use the beach. Okay, that's the follow-up. Thank you. They'll follow up with you.
Thank you. I think there was a suggestion at one point to try to get the piping plover reclassified instead of endangered species to protected. So I think that might make a difference, but that's a technical thing. I don't know. Let's move this way. Hold on. Okay. It's a state issue. Okay, all right. Well, Stacy's... All right, she's got a lot of work today. Okay, Ronnie, you got a question? Okay. Jose, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can't see you back there.
That's okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My question also relates to the ferry. So I'm guessing that when MTA costs go up, will the ferry costs be going up, or how long will you be holding it at that dollar number?
I want to keep it, I want to be very straightforward and honest with everyone. I want to keep it wherever the subway fare is. I think that's the safe way to think about it. I'm not going to say, as was a mistake of long ago in New York City, when it became very political to keep the subway fare so low it helped to destroy the subway system. I want it to float with whatever the subway fare does. That being said, I don't want it ever to be larger than the subway fare. I want it to be the same as the subway fare.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, we'd love the MTA to have some sort of fare integration where people can use a MetroCard to use the ferry and the subways, and that we can do that. And that's something that I know you agree with.
So I want to speak to that. It's a very fair point. So I just want everyone to understand there is no free lunch. We've all heard that phrase. So there's no free ride either. If we do that, it comes with a cost. And either the city's going to pay that cost or the state's going to pay that cost. And it's a meaningful cost. It's not a small amount of money. So I agree with Eric. The goal is to get the fare integration of the ferry and the MTA, where that's the goal. We have to have the money to back it up. Unless the state agrees to do it for us, we're going to have the money to back it up. So this is going to take a little time to sort out, but that's where we ultimately want to go with the ferry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, we're going to take two from here. We'll take Barbara Larkin and then the gentleman with the hat. Okay, right behind.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Quick question, Barbara. We only got an hour to go. Let's get to the question.
Mr. Mayor, this is Belle Harbor, so this is a better hat.
Wow. Ooh. I think that was a challenge. That's a beautiful hat.
No, actually, he's at the Belle Harbor School, I taught here for 30 years.
That's a classy hat.
And Belle Harbor is very special to me, and I want to thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
He is a wonderful partner. I have to tell you, I'm a Democrat all my life.
Yes.
I voted for this man. I voted for you, too.
Okay.
But I voted for this man.
Eric, there's a lot of people voting for both of us. What's going on here?
Before I start my question, I have a comment to Commissioner Silver. No, it's very important. Everybody should. When the Army Corps of Engineers came, they admitted that they did not include the boardwalk as a factor for resiliency. So if there should be jetties anywhere, it is where the boardwalk is not. Because at least from 126th to Beach 9th Street, there is a boardwalk and there is resiliency. And I don't have to worry about my mom because she's on 124th Street. So when you go to see the Army Corps of Engineer, you can say that they admitted in the auditorium of PS 114 in Belle Harbor that they did not consider that when they factored in where they should put the jetties. Please try to, that's a very important point.
Thank you, Barbara Larkin.
The question is...
Oh, I thought that was the question.
No, the question
okay,
is,
all right. Huh.
and everybody will benefit from this also. I did teach here for over 30 years, and I'm very proud of my service. However, I am a volunteer caretaker to my 97-year-old mother.
Amen.
And she's wonderful, and I'm very happy to have her. But I was watching a hearing for the Department of Aging this week, where your commissioner was taking questions from council members Paul Vallone and Karen Kozlowitz.
We need you to get to the punchline. I really
Yes.
like you, but
I
you
would
get
like
to the
to
punchline.
know, and she spoke very eloquently, by the way.
Yep.
I would like to know what services are available for, I'm a senior citizen myself, I'm going to be 70. I would like to know what services are available for senior citizens because it's a very difficult job.
So as we
Thank you very
turn
much.
to, thank you for the question.
Yes.
Commissioner Corrado is going to answer. I don't believe you're 70.
Right. Thank you very
I
much.
just wanted
No,
to tell
I'm
you
not
that.
until next April.
I don't believe you. You couldn't be 70. Commissioner Corrado.
There are so many services that I would be here for a week, so I'm going to talk to you offline. But
Thank you.
we do need a list.
Commissioner, and you'll be around after the meeting,
Yes, I
of
will.
course.
And I want to just say, whatever the services are, we should put them on your website so people who need them can figure it. Good.
Yeah. We'll disseminate that. The gentleman with the hat here has a question. We're going to keep moving. I want to move to as many as possible.
Is it working? Yeah.
Yes, it's working.
Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. My question is a city question. It's not really a Rockaway question. The Department of Education has had an investigation open for over 2 years on the lack of or minimal secular education provided to boys in Hasidic yeshivas. I believe 39 yeshivas was specifically mentioned. For 2 years, your administration has dissembled on the subject, not been honest. 2 weeks ago, you said there were discussions underway, that the issue will be resolved.
Yep.
You want a lasting fix, an approach that will change this once and for all,
Yep.
that will be bought into and actually reach children.
Yep.
So I ask you, when will we see practical changes with the new, will we see it in the new school year beginning in September?
Look, I'm going to say this. We don't have the final plan. I think it is a fair assumption. I'm going to say this vaguely on purpose because we don't have the final plan. I think it's a fair assumption that some of the things we will do will start to take effect for the next school year. But I want to emphasize the point. When someone puts a premise into their question that I think is wrong, I will call it out. We're not dissembling. This is a very purposeful effort to achieve a change that bluntly no one even dealt with before in any way, shape, or form. It's a very sensitive matter. There are serious and legitimate issues and freedoms that have to be thought of at the same time as the absolutely fair and legal question of educational quality. We've got to strike a balance, but as I said in my comments before, I want a solution that sticks and takes life and actually reaches children. Every child, I don't care if they go to yeshiva, Catholic school, a Muslim school, a private school, a charter school, a traditional public school, they matter, all of them, to me and to the whole city. They're the future for the whole city. So I guarantee you there will be a resolution. I don't think it's too far off in the future, and I think some of it will start to be felt in September.
And will you be able to ascertain?
That's what I got. Thank you.
All right, next we're going to move over here. We will start with you, and then we'll go to with the gentleman in the hat. And then we're going to keep moving around. So if we can get to as many questions, keep it short, please.
This is a question about safety on the beaches, especially in the evenings. We have from 123rd to 149th Street, we have these sandbags and we have these dunes. In the evenings, over the sides of the dunes, closest to the ocean, there's drinking, there's fighting, we call the police, we call the Parks Department. Sometimes they come.
Say where, so the precincts will know.
That's
where.
me, the 100. No, the precinct. So what I've been told is up until 10 o'clock in the evening, Parks Department tends to respond. After 10 o'clock in the evening, the police department responds. Parks Department in the winter is based out of Forest Park. Takes 2 hours to get there. By that time, a lot of it's gone. The other issue is these sandbags that have been put in that have these big voids behind them on these baffle walls. There's drinking, there's fornicating, there's defecating, there's urinating, there's drug use.
Okay, I got you.
They
So
need
let's,
to be, they
thank
need to,
you.
They need to be filled in or taken down.
Okay, let's address
have
it from
two
the
safety
beginning.
issues.
Hold on, let's address it from the beginning with the police department response. And I'm a little fuzzy on why there is this division of
There is
labor
no
between police.
division.
Okay, so
we work
Inspector,
with the
talk
Parks
to us.
Department. Whether the Parks Department responds or not, we respond.
Get close to the microphone, closer. There you
Whether the Parks Department responds or not, we respond. I literally get calls from Mr. Hank Iori. He'll give me the location. They said bonfires. They're out there. It's legit. We go up there and we clean it up. If they're of age, because some of them are underage, we can arrest them or summons them, even the oath summons. If not, then we make them clean up and send them home. So that's a fact. That's something he would literally call and give me the street.
So let's get
I'm not
clear.
sure.
Any time of day.
Any time of day,
Okay.
any day of the week, we
And
respond.
typically, when you think about the officers that you have at your disposal, what would you say between the time you get the call and when you're able to respond? What's a typical response time?
If it's during the summer months from May to September, I have extra personnel. They're there anyway. That's where they're posted. If it's during like the off season, like she said, they're out there in the winter, then it's the 100 precinct. And depending on where the sector is, because with the NCO program, they're in that pretty much
Right,
in that area
in that
anyway.
immediate area.
So it's a matter of minutes at most.
Okay, Chief, you want to add? Chief, stand up, Chief. Stand up. There you go.
Okay. Hey.
Come on, you got. There you go. You got a cheering section.
It's not even the summer. Is there a specific location that and a specific time that maybe you can help the precinct out, help the inspector out? So I'm aware and I've seen it. So help us out.
Okay. So let me just you guys can do the follow-up. But what I heard was two parts: one about the enforcement, and two about whether the physical reality needed to be changed for a safety reason. So that's a question between PD and Parks. If there's a concern about the physical layout, or if you think the enforcement efforts can address the situation. We're not going back and forth. We heard you. Let's see if we can answer it.
In terms of an immediate response, the buck stops right with me, right with the inspector.
Okay.
We're 24/7. We are going to respond.
You're going to follow up. Mitch, do you want to add?
In terms of the sand, that is also part of the Army Corps project to fill in that sand location. That is something that the mayor is going to go down to ensure that we get the project expedited so the areas can be filled in with the much needed sand.
So it's in the meantime, the enforcement then ultimately is filled in.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's get to the next question. We have less than an hour now, so I really want to move it along. Gentleman with the hat, please try to get to the question right away.
Mr. Mayor, Chris Tedesco, Arvin resident, board member CB14. Education question, specifically gifted and talented. I have a second and a fourth grader. They tested into the program. They go to PS 38 in Borum Hill. District 27 has one gifted and talented school for the entire district. The nearest testing facility is Rego Park. The program is outstanding. My kids are getting an unbelievable education by teachers that I couldn't even imagine, an abysmal principal, but great teachers. What can you do? What can you do to make the gifted and talented program an actual reality for Rockaway residents? We chose to make less money and take our kid to PS 38. That's not an option for most people, and because we work in the performing arts, we're used to working with less. But that's the plight of Rockaway. We don't have a gifted and talented option, and I'm sure we've got kids that deserve it.
Accelerated learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't you start, and I'll go from there.
So we understand, and we've been speaking to the superintendent about that, and we haven't closed the door on this. We are asking about that. There is one opportunity in the Rockaways, but we do have accelerated programs in the district, and we do have school-wide enrichment programs, and we do value that. But this door is not closed, and I think there's still conversations that are happening. I just spoke to the superintendent about it today.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say, thank you to the Deputy Chancellor, but the other piece, which is hard for people to imagine, honestly, I want to just preface with that. I was a public school parent for the entire education of both my daughter, Chiara, and my son, Dante. And I've talked to parents of every part of this city, and I've heard their frustrations on not getting the kind of programs they want to get. the problem with the equation is you shouldn't have to need the program, meaning we should be trying to fix all of our schools. And I know that sounds idealistic on first blush, but I can also tell you for a fact, I have seen a huge number of schools in this city go from schools that weren't a place that people wanted to send their kids to now schools that people feel very, very good about and that do a good job of providing, really elevated learning and opportunities for kids of all backgrounds and abilities, including some of the most gifted kids. A really, really good school can accommodate gifted and talented kids effectively and give them a great education. So I just want to caution, while we're still trying to do, as the Deputy Chancellor said, and make more immediate options available, the bigger vision under the Equity and Excellence Plan is to make it possible that you could feel whatever neighborhood school actually has what your kid needs. That's what I don't think that's an impossibility in this town. I think we've seen a lot of progress. Obviously, things have changed. Pre-K, people said it was impossible. We were able to do it. We're putting AP classes in every high school. That would have been insane in the past. It's now every single high school is going to have at least 5 AP classes. A lot is changing. Yep. So that's where I ultimately want to see us go, that every school has that ability to accommodate even the most gifted kids.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mayor. Those AP classes, they're very popular. My constituents genuinely appreciate it. We're going to keep moving. We're going to come back around as fast as we can. And this lady on your right, my left. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for coming. My question is specific to Beach 116th Street. It seemed like after the storm, there was a lot of emphasis on development, cleaning it up, but it's really not there yet. It's kind of unsafe. There's not a lot of lights. We don't have a beat cop. So I'm just wondering if the city has any plans to help clean up that street.
Let me start on the beat cop first, because I want to hear it. I know the inspector has strong views. So under the neighborhood policing vision, every place that has NCO officers, they take responsibility for. So let's speak to that first.
Okay. We are an NCO command for the past almost 2 years, I believe 2015. We're not supposed to have posts anymore. Before, you used to see cops. The way the program is designed, it's sectors. I still have a post there from 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. just because all of the complaints about the panhandling, which isn't aggressive, not at a bank, not where an ATM is located, so we can't enforce it, but just to shoo them away so it's a better look for the, customers, so to speak, and they're not afraid to walk over there. I have an officer. He's off Sunday, Monday, and that's when the NCOs fill in. But from Tuesday through Saturday, he's out there from 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. for fact. Yes, and NCO Sector Charlie, are they here?
Okay.
No. Charlie, I see boy. Charlie going once, Charlie? No?
All right.
All right, they knew it was
But the
fine.
point is, Inspector, can we do a follow-up so that, where are you? There you are. We want to make sure you know your NCO officers. I just want to define just a slight difference. The NCO program is based on literally building personal relationships between community residents and the officers, the store owners and the officers, to be able to pinpoint where the need is. It has been in effect now the last few years. As I said, it was an idea started by Bill Bratton and perfected by Jimmy O'Neill. It is one of the fundamental reasons why crime is going down so markedly in so many parts of the city. So it is, in terms of, you're raising, I think, a really important point underlying it. Number one thing is to reduce actual crime. And then there's a very fair question afterwards, do people feel safe? So if we said, hey, do you want to know you're actually safe or do you want to feel safe? Of course, number one thing is you want just plain less crime. The neighborhood policing program strategically is clearly a part of reducing crime. We want to make sure people feel safe too. And so as the inspector said, she has the latitude to make adjustments in her precinct to make sure that there's that visible presence. But then you also said lighting. So this concerns me. So lighting, which is DOT. If there's a lighting gap there, what can we do about it?
Well, and I was just talking to our Deputy Borough Commissioner. It sounds like we have had some issues with the lights there. The meters keep going out. We've been back a bunch of times. So it sounds like we maybe need to get our electricians out there and take a deeper look at the fixes, which we will do.
Okay, and I know Greg Bishop, our Small Business Services Commissioner, wants to add.
So really quickly, we are making investments to actually help the businesses in the neighborhood thrive. So at SBS, we've made a number of grants to not only the merchant organization, that association that's there, to actually make connections to the residents of the area and also the beach. Well, in the summertime, the folks who are coming to the beach. But I'd love to give you my card, and we can talk about any other improvements you think we should be making to help the businesses.
And that's great. Let's keep it moving. We've only got about 45 minutes left. We have one more here, and then we're going to move to this section. Then we're getting to here. Don't shoot the messenger. I'll get to you. Patience, my dear. Okay, like Willy Wonka says. I'll be there. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So I'm going to go back on education, and I'm just going to throw some stats out there. And because they're stats, I have to read them. Rockaway has 4 out of 9 state-designated priority schools in all of Queens County. That's 44% of the severely underperforming schools in all of Queens. Rockaway is about 4% of the population. What are the unique solutions for this problem, which has been the status quo for years, and what measures of accountability are in place to chart improvement?
Thank you very much. Excellent question. I'm going to start, and the Deputy Chancellor will add. The whole equity and excellence vision, which has now been in place over the last 3 years or so, everything depends on being able to prove that we're changing the reality in the schools. We know for a fact now, over the last 3-4 years, we know for a fact the graduation rate has steadily gone up. We're at the highest in the city's history. We know for a fact that test scores have gone up. We know that college readiness is better. More and more kids are going to a specific either 2-year, 4-year college, training institute, whatever it is after high school. That's the good news. Bad news is we're nowhere near where we should be. Talking about the whole city. And the pathway to get to where we need to be, first, to get early child education right. So all that pre-K, which I'm very proud of, we're not seeing the result of that yet. You know, we're now in the 4th year of it starting to grow, so we're not going to see the full result till later. I think 3K is going to add a lot because 2 years of real quality early child education changes the trajectory for kids profoundly. So a lot of what we're doing is building towards something much bigger later on. There's a lot going on at the middle school level, things that kids don't like Algebra for All, but which are very good for them. The after-school program has a lot of enrichment. We want to literally, if we could get every kid into after school, we would do it and make it free. It's all free now. And then, as I mentioned, the AP classes, those, as they're growing, there's much more participation now in AP classes. I think that's going to fundamentally change the trajectory too. So all of that is sort of the programmatic or the vision piece. The money piece, the things I mentioned before, are also about trying to create more fairness in the funding. When I said quintupling of pre-K in this district, that was also a response to unfair funding in the past. Because as I said, some other districts had it. The fair funding formula, we're trying to make sure every school is brought up that has been underfunded. That's a slow, steady process. It depends on state funding, but we've been continually doing that. So forgive the long answer, but it's a lot of different pieces that then you should be able to measure results. That's the answer to your latter point, the Deputy Chancellor will add, but you should be able to see school by school all of those investments starting to turn the trajectory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. He's absolutely right. We've started that already, and you should have seen that. A lot of our schools do have coaches. We have a lot fewer schools in the priority list this year. As part of the Every Student Shall Succeed Act, as part of the state, a lot of our schools are no longer on that list. That doesn't mean that we will stop supporting them. We will continue to support them. So that is happening. There are coaches in schools, the literacy coaches in school, math coaches in schools, and the superintendents are spending more time and they're looking at the curriculum. And we're working very hard with that. So we've been seeing some results already. They're small, but we're moving in the right direction. I can speak to you more specifically about specific schools towards the end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chancellor. We're going to hear from Mike Ben, our friend who heads the parade committee, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and then Halal Sheikh.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the people of Rockaway, I'm sitting here tonight and I can't believe actually I had the privilege of walking with you in our parade on many occasions, and a few of the occasions basically you got hammered from the start of the parade to 108th Street.
It was consistent, Mike. I want to give points for consistency.
But I tell you what, you stuck to your guns. You got up at the stage down on Beach 105th Street, and you told the people of Rockaway.
Higher.
You told the people of Rockaway directly. You answered their questions, which you've answered tonight. And you told them basically, your ferry is coming. Okay, all the changes that you mentioned tonight, the boardwalk, everything else, everything came to fruition. And I think the people of Rockaway owes you and your administration a round of thanks, a round of applause. Because you truly, you do deserve it.
Thanks.
And it's funny, I'm looking at the two young guys here, you know, yourself and Eric. You know, you guys got a great future in the political field because you can master all, you know. And
thank you.
You learn, and I can learn from you. And I hope you join us and continue to join us in the future parades.
Thank you. Mike, I want to, first of all, it's very kind of you, but I want to return the appreciation for what you've done for this community. The parade's an amazing thing, and it's one of the things the community loves. Let's thank Mike for his leadership of that parade. Well done, man. And we will keep working together, because there's a lot more we got to do for the Rockaways. Thank you, brother.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Halal Sheikh.
Good evening, all. My name is Halal Sheikh. I have a quick question, Mr. Mayor. I would like to know what about your update for Sandy recovery? A lot of people they claim they still didn't get a check yet.
Well, I think there's a lot of different pieces. And I'll start, and then Janie, you'll add in. I don't see where Janie is. You'll add in if you want to, any pieces I missed. So the big picture plan for the city, as I mentioned, is a $20 billion plan that's being implemented all over the city. Some of those pieces the city is doing, some of those pieces we depend on the Army Corps, or we work together with the Army Corps. Obviously, in terms of the Rockaways, I want to expedite the Army Corps piece of the equation. That's central to everything we want to do. The boardwalk was a crucial piece of the recovery and resiliency. Build It Back, which is about to finally conclude, has been a crucial piece. And then all the other resiliency projects I mentioned, the $145 million for a set of different projects that we announced a few weeks back. All of this is continuing. So, you know, my point of view is we were very sobered by Sandy. It was one of those moments that we cannot forget in any way, shape, or form. It told us everything we needed to know tragically about how vulnerable we were. And I would argue we're going to be at the work of resiliency for decades to come, and then we're going to have to keep investing. The other thing I'd say is we have to get to the root cause. And not everyone has to agree on this. I think there's a lot of evidence that global warming is what caused something as ferocious as Sandy. And by the way, look what happened in the Caribbean. Look what happened with Hurricane Maria. I mean, there's something going on here, right? So we as a city have intensified our targets for reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. This city, I mean, one of the biggest cities in the world, we have the ability through our own independent action to reduce the negative impact on the climate. We're working with cities all over the country, all over the world to do the same. This is actually a really important part of the equation, because if we go to the root cause, that's another one of the best ways to avoid another tragedy. Would you like to add anything, Janie? Covered it all? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to a few more questions here. Let's get to Mr. Williams, and then we'll get to the gentleman behind you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think anyone brave enough to wear a Brooklyn Nets jacket.
I'm from Brooklyn.
I am from Brooklyn too, but
he lives in Rockaway, though. Don't worry.
No, I'm from Brooklyn too, but this Brooklyn Nets idea hasn't been working out the way it was planned. So I admire you for sticking with them.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for coming here. I would like to know if you can give us more enforcement for the speeding out here when our children are going to school and going home.
Tell me where.
Particularly in the area by the YMCA on Rockaway Beach Boulevard and Beach 73rd Street. We literally have to make a chain from side to side for our kids to cross the streets, because the dollar vans have now graduated to dollar buses. And they taunt us. And it's very dangerous. And I was wanting to know if more officers can be trained with the speed guns coming out of the academy to empower our commanding officers to put more officers out there to go after them.
So this is a PD issue. I don't know, is TLC here too? If TLC is here, okay, well, PD, what can we do on this? Enforcement of speeding.
How are you? Well, as he can attest to, so far, when they're available during the school crossing 7:30 and then the later afternoon hours, I have my summons officers up there. If they're not always available, I'll just send the sector or the response order of concern. Also, I submitted that location, although there's no school there. Like he stated, it's the homes on one side and then the YMCA on the other. I submitted for 2 school crossing guards because the children do cross there. I didn't foresee it being a problem. I haven't been granted them as of yet, but just for crossing in general, although there's no school, just to help them out. Because
So it's a heavy crossing area for kids?
for the children, correct. Now, the speeding, the road is very unstable, should I say. It's like bumpy. But they do, because I went out there and I checked, it's like he said, the dollar vans, the trucks,
Okay.
cars that won't
So
mess up, they do pick up speed
Let's
in that area.
separate 2 pieces here, the enforcement and the crossing guards.
No, it's up. He knows.
Let me just refer to the chief on this one. Chief, so on the crossing guards, I'm not familiar enough with the detailed rules for where they go, but my impression is that there's some discretion in terms of determining, according to where kids really are, where we need crossing guards.
There it is. We're at our complement. We do not have a shortage in crossing guards right now. I can take a look at that at your location.
Wait, yeah, but I'm saying, do you, just help me on the general question. As the situations sometimes change, there's new schools or more kids show up for whatever reason, do you have, as a broad concept, does PD change each year where it wants to put crossing guards?
We can absolutely change as needed, sir.
Okay.
So the answer is yes.
So let's confirm right now that we're going to assign a crossing guard to that location. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you need to send me a bill, I'll pay it. Okay, so we're going to do a crossing guard. Now, back to enforcement, to inspector. So what I'm a little concerned about, so you obviously have a regular presence. You said the buses, the dollar buses, and they're taunting people and all. What are we doing to go after those commercial vehicles that are creating a safety problem?
Well, they're not commercial vehicles. The dollar vans are just like passenger vans, so to
Well, they're
speak.
commercial
But
in the sense they sell a service.
Their summons and the summons enforcement in that
Yeah.
area is up 64%.
Good.
If they're unlicensed, then we'll take the van, confiscate the van, and lock up.
Okay, so let's stay right there. So on the, you're going to have regular presence there for any kind of speeding, any kind of dangerous condition, right? You have steady presence,
Correct.
whatever kind. You have
Correct.
regular presence. The dollar vans, the dollar buses, if they do something illegal.
No, it's the city buses. It's the city buses
Wait a
and
minute, wait a minute, wait a
sanitation
minute.
is what they reported
Hold
to
on,
me.
hold on. Wait a minute. Go back to the original. You said dollar van, dollar buses. You don't mean MTA buses. No. Okay. So let's not, I don't want to get back and forth too much. Whatever the vehicles are, we need to enforce on them. And the last point you made, I want to amplify to everyone because this is a recent change in the law. I think it was based on a court case that now if a illegal van, or in theory an illegal bus, is caught violating serious laws, that it not only can be fined, it can be seized, and it can be sold. So,
Mr. Mayor.
much stronger. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sheriff's in town. Hold on, everybody. It's our sheriff. Sheriff, introduce yourself.
I'm Joe Facito. I'm the sheriff of the city of New York. As part of the Department of Finance, dollar vans actually fall under commercial motor vehicles. Even though they do not have commercial license plates, they're subject to commercial motor vehicle tax. Picking up a passenger on the street and not paying the commercial motor vehicle tax is actually a misdemeanor. So what we can do is look at the area, and if we see heavy trafficking in those types of vehicles, we can stop, and if they're practicing picking up vehicles without paying the tax, we can actually take enforcement action.
You want to add anything, Mayor? Did you want to add anything to that? No? Okay, we're going to keep moving. All right, the gentleman right here with the black shirt. Yes, sir. Yeah, you? No, in front of you. Sorry. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Kaz Gradsky. I live on 98th Street, Rockaway residence. As a teenager, about 15 years old, what bothers me, it's a lot. People talk about the Rockaway smell, Rockaway this, Rockaway that. To me, it bothers me the look. When I take the A train and I do sometimes shuttle, which is the most important to me because I live on this side. The look on the right side, when you enter the Rockaway Peninsula, there's a wasteland in the water on the side of on the land. Barges, boats, and everything else. I have no idea why nobody talks about it. Same situation is, and everybody talks about it. On the 74th Street, there's a waterways as well. There's a barges and the cranes actually sunken in the water. Is there anything you could improve by any one of your departments to clean up all those messes?
Okay, this one again, and thank you very much for the question. Again, in the spirit of honesty, this is not something I've heard about before and I'm not familiar with. Any agency here have a sense of this one? DEP, Parks, anyone? Okay, we're going to have to check into that. We'll work with the council on that.
We're going to follow up. Joe Iaboni, you had your hand up before, didn't you? No? He's your biggest fan. Noreen Ellis. But Joe loves you, by the way. You know Joe. Noreen Ellis in the back there.
I've never seen Joe Iaboni be silent before. I'm impressed. Joe, this is an important day in history.
Mayor de Blasio, Eric, fantastic, should happen more. I just want to say to the police, I know there were issues, thank you. Parks, every agency, like all of us, need a little tweaking, but this isn't a question, but a request. I'm co-chair of the New York Rising. The state has allocated for Rockaway West almost $23 million. A lot of times, the projects that need to be implemented need coordination with city agencies. Yes. Our electeds, Stacy and Eric, are trying to navigate through multi-levels of bureaucracy. So I'm asking, would you consider creating, like with Build It Back and everything, facilitators that will be assigned to a community, and it could be Rockaway East, Rockaway West, Broad Channel, Howard Beach, and help us to keep the projects moving along, because they do have a use it or lose it deadline. And nobody wants $20 million not to be implemented for resiliency and other things in our community because it got caught in the bureaucratic shuffle.
100%. Help me on one question, just so, because I'm not 100% aware of all the details in New York Rising. Generally speaking, are we talking about resiliency efforts or something else?
All New York Rising have to meet resiliency aspects.
Okay. Janie, on the question of making sure we are fully coordinated, so one, we want it done. Two, we never want to see the money get lost. What can we do?
That's absolutely right. We absolutely want to make sure that the projects move along on time. I'd like to talk with you a little bit more to understand what some of the problems are so we can make sure that we adjust capacity and help to fix those problems.
Okay, so Janie will figure out, but on your point, you'll follow up, but you'll make sure that she has a point of contact going forward if there's any roadblocks that we can fix.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to keep moving. We've got a half hour left. Let's get to Betty and then Felicia, if we can. Sorry, I'm doing the best I can. I know people are upset, but we're moving as quickly as we can.
Thank
Betty.
you, Councilman. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. I have a suggestion, and it's about transportation. Is it possible to have what we call an A-train direct, which leaves on either side of the Rockaways and goes right from the Rockaways to 34th Street? It will take 45 minutes, at least, with all the other stuff that you need money for. This can be something that could be instituted as soon as possible.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. First of all, just emphasizing again, that would only happen with the MTA, and that is the state. But Polly, what do you think of that point?
I mean, look, I think as we've heard tonight, it's certainly we want to go back and have, I think, a deeper dialogue with the MTA, obviously, on the A-train. They have, from time to time, considered looking at running express services. They talked about it with the F-train. There was a certain amount of blowback on it, but happy to talk more about it. I think we'd like to bring them some good ideas from this community.
Great. Okay, Felicia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Eric. I appreciate you coming out. I'm going to go right to my question. I think we've talked about resiliency and transportation. I'm going to a quality of life concern. The councilman held a forum a while back regarding the displaced, I like to call them displaced as opposed to homeless situation. And I live a block away from the shelter on Beach 65th Street. And we have a lot of issues with that. However, my question is, and I asked it at the forum, that the city has housing vouchers. And apparently, the majority of landlords in the city will not accept these housing vouchers. And my question is, why aren't they accepting the housing vouchers? And why is it that we aren't looking to use those vouchers to actually place families in apartments and houses that can be rehabbed, as opposed to warehousing them in these hotels that seem to be being built specifically just for displaced people and families?
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So, first, the law says that landlords are supposed to honor the vouchers the same way they would honor cash. I know. I'm saying that's the law in this city. You're not allowed to turn someone away because they have a voucher. If we find out that they did that, the Human Rights Commission has real penalties that they can apply, and they can, in fact, give someone the apartment directly. So if someone experiences being turned away, that right there is something we can act on if we have the facts and they get to human rights. 1. 2, we're trying to work with landlords to address the real valid concerns they have. They say, okay, if I take a voucher, will I get paid on time? What about the bureaucracy around it? We're trying to make that simpler. We got more work to do, but we want to make it simpler for landlords. In fact, we have this is usually the smaller landlords. We have them in all the time to show them how it works and hopefully make it work better. 3, we don't want to pay for hotels anymore. That's not the vision of the future. We want to get out of hotels. So, but the hard reality, I've been very, 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 very public about it. And Eric almost ran against me for mayor, and I'm sure he thought he should run against me because only an insane person would announce that we had to build shelters during an election year. But I told people the truth. If we want to get out of the hotels, and we all do, if we want to get out of the hotels, we have to build some shelters for today, which eventually, if all goes well and we keep reducing the number of homeless people, can be turned into affordable housing. So there's nothing here, just listen to what I'm saying, there's nothing here that is about we want long-term shelter. That's not our vision. Our vision is to get people back on their feet and hopefully continue to compress the shelter system. Any building that is shelter today can be turned into affordable housing later. But there's a kind of a complaint I get all over the city. People say, why don't you build affordable housing? We're in the middle of the biggest affordable housing building program in the history of New York City. That's where most of our money is going, is to create housing to try and reduce the crisis. But there's a fundamental lack of places to turn in this city. There's not enough land. There's not hardly any vacant apartments. We have a fundamental problem we're trying to swim upstream against by building more affordable housing. Anything you want to add?
I just want to add one point. I know that it's discouraging when you hear from people that landlords won't take the vouchers. I just want to say an important fact for people to know. 20,000 families and individuals and households, 20,000 households have moved out of shelter or avoided going into shelter with those vouchers. That's a lot of people since 2014 have been able to get out of shelter or not go in. Having said that, if there are any landlords here tonight, have we got a deal for you? We've got all kind of incentives that we can provide, and we can help individual families move out of shelter this week with your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, thank you. We're going to move over here. We're going to come back. We got 20 minutes left. I see Joe Caruana and then Wayne Sheriff. So this gentleman here, let's try to move it quick. Please just get to the questions because Mayor's leaving at 10 o'clock.
Congratulations, Eric. Congratulations, Mayor, on the re-election.
Thank you.
So this is a mainland question. I'm a resident of South Ozone Park, which is home of Resorts World Casino, the first casino to take in 1 million visitors in 1 month. They contribute millions of dollars per year to the education budget as well as to the tax coffers. Yet the local residents, the infrastructure is being, bombarded with traffic. The 106 precinct, they do the best job that they can, but there's a tremendous strain on the infrastructure. Is there anything that you can do for the residents of South Ozone Park, like tax breaks or tax abatements, perhaps improve the infrastructure? Thank you.
I'm going to actually send it back 1 second. Just again, this is one I've not heard from people much before. Give me an example of something you'd want addressed.
Okay, for example, on a Saturday night between midnight and 4 a.m. on Rockaway Boulevard, the tremendous amount of traffic going to the casino because that's when the slot machines are really hot. So
You know, things happen. That's called a battlefield promotion. Things happen.
I'm glad the chief was here for that, too.
That's right.
Good.
The magic of the mayor.
Chief, he seems so authoritative. I thought he should be an inspector, okay?
Thank you very much. In regards to traffic concerns, as you know, we do have a two NCO program. I have Officer Maderick and Officer Coffey with us right now. Guys, raise your hand. They're instrumental. They're out there all the time dealing with Tim Pearson and the security. As well, we have paid detail there, so traffic is always an issue, and we make sure that we are out there enforcing the statutes over there, though. So, but again, we can always do a little bit better, though, so I'll meet you out there, and we'll see what we can do to improve that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Wayne Sheriff over here. Molly's Balloons. Anybody need balloons?
Thank you, everybody.
There you go.
It's an honor to have the mayor here and Eric. I live in Ozone Park. I've lived there for 44 years. I've had my visits there 36 years. So I kind of know what the traffic patterns going on in the neighborhood. I used to be able to go from my house, which is on Sutter Avenue and 86th Street, to Queens Boulevard. It would take me 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I wouldn't rush, take my time. Now with Selected Bus we have lost a lane in the right side. And the service road, you only have one lane now. We used to have two, now we got one. In the main line, we have 2 lanes instead of 3, and they made one Selected Bus. If you follow the path of the selected buses, they could have taken the lane from the far right and made that your Selected Bus lanes. Don't interfere with the traffic in the middle. All of us neither have a business, going to work, coming home with kids. If you would go into Ozone Park, if you would go into Woodhaven, if you would go to any side of the road on Woodhaven Boulevard, Cross Bay, you cannot get through them. Another thing, well, I'm not done. Hold on.
No. Wait, we got to get to the question. I'm sorry.
On 107th Avenue, the other night, I'm walking my dog.
All right.
A tractor trailer came off of Woodhaven Boulevard, came up that street, and he couldn't make the swing. Not only did he hit that person's car and do serious damage, he still couldn't get out of the block. And the reason why he could not go on Woodhaven Cross Bay Boulevard from the traffic. Now,
All right,
another
Wayne,
thing, while
Wayne,
we're talking about...
No, Wayne, we can't. We got to let the commissioner address it, and we got 20 minutes to go, so
Okay,
we got
there's only one more part of that.
No.
Well, hold on. Come on. We got the point.
I'm
we got
sorry,
the point.
Wayne. I'm sorry.
SBS. I'm going to say one thing before the commissioner speaks. Everything we do, it's our job. So the underlying idea, let me just start at the beginning. The underlying idea is we got to move a lot more people a lot faster, okay? We need more mass transit. We need it so people can move around. We need it to address the pollution problem, the climate change problem, everything. But, whatever we do, we have to make sure it doesn't have too many unintended consequences. So this is important. So I say this about Select Bus, I say this about City Bike, anything you name. You have an idea, you go implement the idea. If it turns out the idea was not what you expected and it had really negative impact, you got to make adjustments. Sometimes you got to change. But I want to be very clear. I really believe in Select Bus, but we also have to make sure we're implementing it properly. So, Commissioner.
All right, and I think as the mayor has said, look, there's no question this has been our biggest bus project, and there were two major goals with it. It is a major bus line. Some of the folks here have talked about how hard it can be to travel in this area. That bus route has 43,000 riders a day. Woodhaven Boulevard, some of you may know, was also one of the most dangerous roads in this city. In the period from 2010 to 2015, 24 people were killed on that road, and 3,000 were seriously injured. So we were trying to balance improving bus service and safety. We recognize it has been a big, challenging project. People are still adjusting to it. We will be continuing to come back and make adjustments as needed. You know, we recognize this. It's a project that's had some very big impact. It had some very big goals. So we will. I'm sure there'll be a group of people here that want to talk about it. Happy to stay afterwards and talk about some of the fixes.
Also want to say one more point on the truck, which worries me when I hear that kind of thing. I want to emphasize to PD that if we see trucks going off a route for whatever reason, going onto residential streets, we need to have very consistent enforcement for them to understand the consequences.
And we do, sir. We do. We can have in the past, and we will continue in the future to enforce tractor trailers that are going down residential streets. Thank you for your concern, sir.
Thank you, Chief. All right, let's keep moving. We've got 20 minutes left. Let's go to Stacy, and then the woman next to her in the back there, and then we'll get to you. Yes, please get to the question. We only have 20 minutes left. I'm very sorry.
My name is Stacy, and I've lived in Rockaway. I was born here. And my pet peeve is that when you come over the Marine Parkway Bridge, and the Reese Park parking lot is right there. There's 7 foot of weeds filled with garbage. And then you come around the lot, and there's the hill, the other hill, another 7 feet on both sides. It's like a tunnel of garbage and weeds. I've spoken to Eric's office and Stacy's office. So they cleaned the grass in the center median, but the sides are still filled with garbage.
Okay, so whose is that? Looking
It's been
to the
going on for
agency?
years.
Who's got that? Who owns that?
No one.
Well, actually, the state owns
Hold
federal
on.
government, but
It's our sanitation commissioner, Catherine Garcia. Go ahead.
But I will come and check your location. We will send people out there to take care of it, even if it does belong to somebody else.
So just to be clear, we're going to fix the problem in the short term.
Yes, and we'll
City
work with
sanitation
our- we'll
department.
work with
In
parks.
general, that sort of land, are they supposed to be maintained?
Yeah, that's federal land.
That's this specific thing?
Well, right by there, yeah, it's federal land.
So what do you say about the state?
Oh, the state owns the roadways and the federal.
State owns the roadways, the
But we
federal
will
owns
come- we
land,
will
but we're going to
come
clean it
and-
anyway.
we're
We
gonna
will
come
clean it
clean
up.
the property.
Okay.
The city's
We're
going
gonna
to
come clean
clean
the
it.
property.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, this
Thank
is
you, Commissioner.
a safety and quality of life issue. In the summertime, and we have a lot of people and a lot of working people coming home, is there any way we can get lifeguards for an extended day? That we've brought up, I think, in other forums.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I appreciate the question. First of all, I just want to give the 15-minute warning now so we can keep moving fast. I'm gonna put it in for nomination, but I'm not going to guarantee you a result. I want to explain what that means. I'm sympathetic, but I'm also concerned because I need to know what's going to happen with the city budget coming up. And I'm very, very concerned about what's happening in Washington as we speak, and it could have a really negative impact on our budget. If our budget takes a big hit, then I can't do it. I want to be honest. If for some reason we come through, I think it's an interesting idea. It's a little complex because if we do it here, we'd have to do it some other places. So I can't give you a blank check. But what I will instruct is that it should be on the budget nomination list as something we will look at.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. And Commissioner Silver, thank you. Okay, let's keep moving here. Right here. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Sarah Kenny. Thank you again for coming. I'll be brief. The
Wait a
Williams.
minute, what organization are you from?
Guess. Rockaway Women for Progress.
I love it. All right.
So, in our hangover from Sandy, while we were distracted, the Williams Corporation came in and built a fracking pipeline in Queens and in Brooklyn. It's about a 2-mile pipeline. They've now proposed to build a pipeline 10 times as long, 23-mile fracking gas pipeline through the ocean coming from Pennsylvania. Now, I know before you say it, it's a state issue, meaning that Governor Cuomo can veto this, just as he did the Port Ambrose pipeline. What I'd like to ask you is that you could commit to partnering with us to take action as much as we can from a city perspective, whether that's a council hearing, whether that's a press statement, whether that's a letter written to the governor to compel him to veto the project, because not only will it bring the danger that fracking gas brings, the construction of the pipeline itself will dredge up toxins and metals in what was once viewed to be the most toxic body of water that will poison the water and ruin the beaches.
Okay, let me just check. Is any of our team familiar with this? Okay, I'm going to give you a sympathetic, but I need a reality check with my team. I absolutely oppose fracking, so that's the good news. And so I follow the notion that if it's fracking gas, we should oppose it. Just saying, that's all I know so far. If you say it's fracking gas, I don't like that. Let me find out from everyone, and I want to assign DEP to look into this, and we'll come back with a formal answer after we've asked a few questions. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
we're approaching the 10-minute mark, so I want to get to very, very quick question. If you're going to give a speech, I'm going to call on somebody else. Yeah, I'm working this way. This gentleman here with the glasses. Go ahead, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Yarden Flato. I'm the chair of the Rockaway Business Alliance, formerly the Beach 116th Street Partnership, which was an emergence organization formed out of the need following
I'm
Sandy.
sorry, I need the question.
We've got a big project coming up. Shout out
getting
to
to it.
Greg Bishop and
Getting to it.
and EDC.
Question.
Called Rockaway Connect. It's bringing tons of value to the neighborhood. And in order for it to work, we need the technology infrastructure in Rockaway to be sound. If you've ever tried to make a phone call out here, you know that cell service is horrid. Okay. What can we do to improve that out here?
What can we do to improve cell service in the Rockaways? That's a good one.
That's
right.
not my lane.
Greg, you're now in charge of cell service. If you have a cell problem, call Greg Bishop. Okay, but Greg, you're going to find out the answer. I don't know the answer, so no. I mean, I want to see how we can help. It's a very fair point.
sure.
We will follow. Don't even have to answer. We will follow up. Let's
Okay.
find out what we can do.
All right, let's yes or no question. Try to get very quickly. Yes, right here. Come on. Hold on.
My name is Joan Boudreau. I'm from Breezy Point.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming, Mayor de Blasio and Eric.
Thank you.
I've called your office a number of times, Eric, because I wanted to file a complaint against a contractor down at Breezy Point. I am here to publicly request that I get assistance from Build It Back to investigate fraud, theft, appropriation of my property to conduct their work.
Okay. Okay. Amy Peterson's going to follow up with you personally.
Next
Thank you.
question. Okay, this gentleman standing up right here with the sweater. Go ahead.
Thank you. We're so blessed to be in Rockaway and to be so close to nature. And a lot of the young kids where I live in the 40s, they don't really have the opportunity to get familiar with the ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you and the city would be willing to start even the smallest program for children who go to school in this part of the city to learn how to swim in the ocean so we can connect together.
It's a great suggestion.
It's a great suggestion. We have been expanding swimming lessons in pools. Very interesting question about the ocean. Mitch, you have an easy answer or not?
We don't have for the ocean, but we certainly do have for the pools, and that is the beginning of someone getting used to learning how to swim and building up the confidence to eventually swim in the ocean.
Okay, so we're trying to expand the pool thing, so I think that's the right
Mayor,
start.
we're down to 10 minutes, so we're going to go over here with the Mets jacket. Also very brave. God bless you.
Wait a minute.
I'm a Mets fan.
This should be a majority Mets area.
Yeah,
Who's
I love
Mets?
the Mets.
Who's Mets? Raise your hand. Okay. There you go.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes, sir.
appreciate your concerns about the environmental and global warming, and I agree with you.
Thank
but
you.
Mr. Mayor, when something happens with a toxic waste from the New York City Sanitation Department, moves a 3,000-gallon oil tank, and it leaks onto my property, nobody wants to take the responsibility. Nobody wants to help us. You leave us stranded. Mr. Mayor, this is an environmental concern. It's a global warming. It's a global warming,
Okay.
sir. It's
All right.
oil. It's pollution.
We got
Please
you.
help me, Mr. Mayor.
I hear you. We got you. Who can speak to this?
Hold on.
Real simple. If you have a quick answer, then you can follow up.
Hi, I'm Amy Peterson. We've talked numerously.
Okay.
Me and Vinny Sapienza will talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
with
The two commissioners will meet with you directly to
At
see if we can
10:01
resolve this.
PM. All right. You've been waiting patiently. Hold on. This young lady here. Go ahead. Hold on.
You get a
Got your
microphone.
mic.
You get a microphone.
Thank you.
No,
Hold
behind. No, you're next. Just sit down 1 second. We got the lady
Hold on.
behind
You're
you.
next. You're next. Please,
I'm,
very quick.
I'm an early morning commuter, and for me, the ferry has been a lifesaver. I live in Rockaway, and I work in Harlem. I take the 5 a.m., well, I took the 5 a.m. shuttle every single day from 118th Street to the boat.
Yep.
And with lots of construction people on the boat and all kinds of I'm a tech IT
Question.
person.
I'm sorry.
There's no way to commute, and I was just advised, even though my request is that the shuttle schedule be reevaluated for early mornings to stop at each bus stop if someone is there.
Fair point. Fair point. Okay, James, is that something we're going to consider for early morning?
I'm going to meet with you right after.
We're down to 7 minutes.
Okay, well,
I
let's see
really
if we can do
wanna
that
move
right there in the
quickly.
green. Get the microphone to her. Right there in the green.
Question, not speeches.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Real quick. Quick, because we're running out of time.
Mr. Mayor, I know. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate, as I've told you before, all
Yes.
you do and what you're doing. My question is directed to the DOT and DEP.
A little closer to your mouth. There
Closer.
you go.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So the thing is, they need to step up to the plate to do a better job. For example, this past week, there was construction going on 116 right by Duane Reade there. A big hole in the street.
Okay, what do you need?
2 plates thrown back.
Punchline. What do you need?
Okay, now, The plates were left in a very unsafe, it was unsafe for vehicles to go by.
Okay.
So
You want that addressed?
they left.
Okay,
and-
we got it. They will address it. They'll
But,
follow up.
okay, the most important thing about the flooding at the bus stop on 115.
Okay, that's a different matter. You got your
Yeah,
one.
I know,
Sorry,
but
sorry,
I have
sorry,
to throw it in.
Come on,
Sorry.
come on.
Flooding.
No, throw it
All
in.
right. Yes.
Five
okay.
more minutes.
Last one from
Five
this
more
section
minutes.
here,
Five
and then
more
I'm moving
minutes.
back to this side of the room.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Fast.
Hi, I'm Edwards from the Community Board 14.
Yes,
Real
sir.
quick question.
Question.
What are you going to do to improve the communication between you and the commissioners? Because I feel that me listening to you, you have no clue of the information. A lot of the questions that's been asked. Been asked at the community board, and it seems like you have no clue or no information is passed to you.
Respectfully.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's 8.5 million people in the city. So there's a whole lot of issues. Every neighborhood, imagine that there's another 50, literally, town hall meetings where this one came from. It's not that people aren't trying. It's that there's just so many things that get to the mayor himself. When we have a town hall meeting, I get to hear very directly from people so I can work on them. But it's not that these guys aren't bringing me issues. There's no way they could bring me all the issues from every neighborhood. I depend on them to fix the issues, and I'm trying to send them a message that I expect results for the neighborhood.
All right, we're moving along. I'm sorry, we're going to go here. Jeanette, you've been waiting patiently.
Hi, thank you. Straight to the punchline. Homeless shelters. We need a lot of regulation. We need some policy changes. DHS needs a reality check. There's a whole lot going on. We definitely don't need them in hotels. We need services, and we really want to know what you're going to do to help regulate this a little bit more. I lost a friend to Anna Charlie 2 years ago, Bronx Boulevard.
Yes, very, very tragic, and she was a wonderful person who did so much for other people. It was horrible. Look, the simple answer to you is we have a vision for trying to turn this larger issue around, right? Trying to slowly but surely reduce homelessness, trying to reduce street homelessness, which is actually beginning to happen. The outreach teams are getting more and more people to come in, and that's a really good thing. Around the shelter, here's the answer to your question I think that's most essential. Around the shelter and in the shelter, here's what's different. The whole history of homelessness, the NYPD was not in the shelter until the last 2 years. That's a crucial difference. Now the NYPD supervises shelter security and trains shelter security. That was never true in the past. That is changing reality inside. Outside, the neighborhood coordinating officers are assigned to pay attention to the outside of the shelters and to work with the management to secure the situation. That was the time of her horrible death. This all was just beginning. Now it's a much stronger approach. So I believe you'll see in the coming years a much more secure environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to thank you and Commissioner Sutton for ending chronic veteran homelessness in New York City. New York has done it. Other cities need to follow our lead and bring that number down to 0. We don't need one homeless vet in New York City.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming.